Chapter 169. Hearing this, Zinanshan's originally warm smile suddenly sank a little. In fact, Zinanshan had his own thoughts. He had a big family business. Besides Ziru, he also had a younger son. He did not need to worry about his daughter since she was young. She was very obedient, but she was ugly and had a short lifespan. Originally, with the marriage alliance, his daughter's life was resolved. Even if she died, she would be considered married. Now he had finally found Zhao Xiaodong. Although he was not as well off as the Mao family, it was not bad. Most importantly, the two of them loved each other. Therefore, he was afraid that good things would be difficult. He wanted to get married as soon as possible, and settle the matter first to prevent any more changes. Therefore, Zinanshan nodded and said, "The problem of short lifespan needs to be solved. However, marriage can be solved in a day. So listen to me and get married first." "But my father and I," "Sai, it's fine. After we get married, we'll go to your place," Zinanshan said and flicked his sleeve. "I still have things to do. My good son-in-law, it's settled then. When Ziru comes back, tell her that I've already set the date. The day after tomorrow." This, looking at Zinanshan's back as he left, Wang Zhong was a little confused. He was obviously pretending with Ziru. Why was he getting married all of a sudden? Although he was not against marriage, at this time, Ziru came back from outside. "Xiaodong, I bought you osmanthus cake. Do you want to eat it?" Now that the engagement was cancelled, Ziru seemed to be in a good mood. Wang Zhong walked over and told him what Zinanshan had said to him just now. Hearing this, Ziru's mouth fell open. She was at a loss. "My father is in such a hurry. He wants us to get married the day after tomorrow. What should we do?" Ziru said worriedly. "Find a chance to leave." "No." Ziru shook her head. "My parents raised me since I was young. How can I just leave?" "Then what do you think we should do?" "Let's get married," Ziru said resolutely. She looked at Wang Zhong with a burning gaze. "Fake the marriage. When the time comes, we'll leave this place and pretend that nothing happened. It doesn't matter to me. But if this really happens, what will you do in the future?" Wang Zhong asked. "Hee, since I'm already so ugly, who would care?" Ziru chuckled. Wang Zhong didn't reply because he agreed with Ziru's words. He didn't want to pretend to comfort her. "Alright then. We'll fake our marriage. After we're married, you'll bring me to the immortal mountain." "Okay, thank you, Zhao Xiaodong." After thinking for a while, Ziru said, "However, in order to keep a low profile, I will tell my parents to keep a low profile when we get married. There's no need to invite outsiders." That's good too. 2 days later, the Z mansion was decorated with lanterns and colored banners. A few people who understood the situation knew that the daughter of the Z mansion, Ziru, was getting married. Most of the people in the city knew about Ziru. This woman was very ugly, but she was very capable. She was good at literature and martial arts. She knew a little about the 4 arts. Therefore, everyone was guessing who the man who married Ziru was. Unfortunately, no one knew. This was because Ziru didn't invite anyone to her wedding. Only the Z family held a simple wedding. This man must have married into the Z family. Immediately someone said. The time for the wedding passed quickly. At night, after Wang Zhong toasted Zinanshan and Lu Yan, he was led to the bridal chamber by a servant girl. Ziru was already sitting on the bed with a red veil draped over her head. Creak! The door was pushed open. Ziru couldn't help but clench her hands into small fists. She was extremely nervous. Although Ziru knew that everything in front of her was just a ridiculous farce between her and Zhao Xiaodong, she still couldn't help but feel nervous. However, she couldn't help but feel a little nervous, and even a little expectant. "Ziru." Wang Zhong lifted Ziru's red veil and said, "I'll sleep on the floor later." This, Ziru lowered her head in embarrassment and said, "The floor is cold. If you want, we can squeeze together. Of course, I know I'm ugly. I won't do anything to you. Please don't worry." Wang Zhong was speechless for a girl to say such words. "Don't say that. The birthmark on your face is just a birthmark. Without it, you're actually quite beautiful. Also, your temperament is not bad." "Thank you for the compliment." Ziru felt her face burning. Wang Zhong didn't argue. He got on the bed and the two started to discuss the next step of the plan. In the end, the two discussed and decided to leave in 3 days. They would first go to Li City and find Ziru's senior brothers on the Immortal Mountain. After the plan was discussed, Ziru was quite talkative. She asked about Wang Zhong's childhood and the zombie attack in Snow City a few years ago. There was nothing to hide. Wang Zhong told her about it. When she heard that Wang Zhong was actually a member of the guide team, Ziru's eyes widened. However, thinking about it carefully, Zhao Xiaodong was originally a short-lived person. Indeed, he was supposed to be part of the guide team at that time. Then you're really amazing. Although I also know martial arts, I didn't really deal with evil creatures at that time. Ziru said honestly, you're also a short-lived person. Why weren't you asked to join the guide team? Wang Zhong asked. My father paid some money, so I didn't go. After all, our Iron Sand City is very big. The evil creatures around here aren't strong. The guide team is enough. Okay. Wang Zhong understood. At this moment, Wang Zhong was already on top of Ziru. There was no other way. The bed wasn't big. However, Ziru didn't mind. The two of them fell asleep. When he woke up, Wang Zhong found that his palm was soft. The two of them were sleeping face to face. Wang Zhong sighed. Could this be considered a real show? However, he didn't lose anything, right? Besides, although Ziru was a little ugly, Wang Zhong had a good impression of this woman, whether it was her personality or her attitude. The next morning, Ziru didn't say anything. It was as if nothing had happened last night. 3 days passed quickly. During these 3 days, Wang Zhong and Ziru had been preparing for the trip. My good son-in-law, have you really discussed and decided to leave? On this day, Zinanshan came to Wang Zhong and Ziru's room early in the morning. Father, I've told my husband, if I don't go, I can only live to 20. I still want to be filial to you. I don't want to die so early. Ziru said. Sigh, my poor daughter. Lu Yan sighed. Zinanshan said seriously. There are many dangers on the way. I'll arrange for 2 experts to go together. Ziru immediately objected. Father, have you forgotten what I told you last time? The place we're going to is a celestial mountain. If the masters know about this, not only us, but you'll also be in danger. Zinanshan sighed. They also knew the seriousness of the matter. Although the experts in the family were raised by them, they were still servants. After all, those people were only servants. If they were disloyal and this matter spread, it would be very troublesome. Father-in-law and mother-in-law, with my strength, I can protect Xiaoru. Wang Zhong said. Good. I didn't misjudge you. Zinanshan took the credit for making Wang Zhong marry Ziru. Master, there's a middle-aged woman outside looking for young Master Zhao. At this time the steward came in. Yes, Aunt Zhu is here. Wang Zhong said. Chapter 170. Auntie Zhu was carrying bags of various sizes. Although she was a woman, she did not feel tired at all when she walked. Once she entered the house, she bowed to Zinanshan and his wife in a simple and honest manner. Then, she said to Wang Zhong in a fawning manner, Young master, I've done what you asked me to do. Son-in-law, this is... Oh, let me introduce her. Wang Zhong pointed at Auntie Zhu. She's my family's servant girl. She's coming with me. All right then. Zinanshan did not think much of it. In his opinion, it was not bad to have an adult to take care of the two of them. Soon they finished packing. Wang Zhong and Ziru disguised themselves. After bidding farewell to Zinanshan and his wife, the two of them headed to the city gate, without even the Z family's servants knowing. Who's leaving the city? Seeing Wang Zhong and the other two, the city guard walked over and shouted, Sir, my wife and I are leaving the city for Snow City. This is my identity in Snow City. Wang Zhong had already prepared the document and handed it over. Let's go. Because there were many people, the city guard took a quick look and waved his hand, allowing Wang Zhong to leave. On the way, Wang Zhong also told Ziru about Auntie Zhu's true identity. After knowing that Auntie Zhu was a pig demon, Ziru was shocked. Auntie Zhu smiled honestly. After all, Wang Zhong had something on her, so she did not dare to show any dissatisfaction. Ziru was very familiar with the route to Li City. She chose the safe and close official road. There were many carriages along the way. The three of them were riding horses this time, so the journey was very fast. At night, the three of them set up a tent. Wang Zhong said, "Little Ru, I'll go get some water." "I'll go with you." "All right, I'm a little sweaty after a day. I want to wash up." "After all, girls like to be clean." Wang Zhong smiled. "Aren't you afraid that I'll see you naked?" Ziru blushed and pouted coquettishly. "Although we're pretending to be married, but we're already like that. So what if you see me naked?" Wang Zhong froze. If this continued, would Ziru stick to him? Shaking his head, Zhang Xian walked over to the riverside. Just as he was about to reach the riverside, the clothes at his chest suddenly moved. He suddenly remembered that the demonic flower was still in his chest. "Master, I've been cooped up by you for days. Can you give me some water?" "I haven't had any water for days," Little Blossom said, feeling wronged. These days, she had been living a miserable life. Not only was the environment stuffy, but there was also no water to drink. She was afraid of Wang Zhong, so she didn't dare to say anything. But this time, they were by her favorite water. She really wanted to drink some water. Wang Zhong's heart skipped a beat. He smiled and said, "I forgot about you. Speaking of which, if you want to drink water, you can just say it yourself. Why are you holding back?" Little Blossom thought to himself, "I'm holding back because I'm afraid of angering you." "Xiaodong, who are you talking to?" Ziru, who was taking off her clothes, asked curiously. "Oh, I forgot to introduce it to you. This is a demonic flower that I've adopted." Wang Zhong took out a jade bottle. Inside the jade bottle, there was a delicate and beautiful little flower that was quietly placed inside. As the jade bottle was taken out, a refreshing fragrance wafted out. "Hello, little sister. Hello, little sister." Of course, Little Blossom knew who Ziru was. So, she shook her body and tried her best to please her. "What a beautiful flower," Ziru said curiously. "You should rest for a while." Wang Zhong placed the demonic flower by the river. Soon, roots grew from the bottom of the demonic flower and were inserted into the mud. The delicate and beautiful flower straightened its body, as if trying to absorb the nutrients in the mud. Ziru also hid in the water. Wang Zhong drank a mouthful of water. After washing his face and feet, he returned to the shore and prepared dinner. "Master, you're back?" Aunt Zhu chuckled. "Yes, Aunt Zhu. How's the information that I asked you to gather a few days ago?" Wang Zhong asked. When they were in Iron Sand City, although Wang Zhong had been idle, Aunt Zhu did not let him be idle. He asked Aunt Zhu to find the caravans and ask if they would encounter any danger on their way to Li City. Especially regarding the evil creature forest, it could be said that she knew everything. "Master, I asked the caravans of 3 families. There's no problem with the direction to Li City. It's just that the journey is a little long. As for the evil creature forest, it's a little troublesome." Aunt Zhu was a little worried. "I, old pig, am not afraid. I have a demonic aura on me. When I release my demonic aura, those evil creatures will see that I'm the same kind and will not do anything to me. However, it's different for you guys. Those evil creatures like to eat young people like you and Miss Ziru. Is that so?" Wang Zhong frowned. The evil creature forest was huge. It could prevent the entire Hui dynasty from knowing the situation outside. One could imagine how terrifying it was. And they had to pass through the evil creature forest. One could imagine how difficult it would be. Fortunately, Ziru had said that the people from the Immortal Mountain were already waiting for them in Li City. They would receive them when the time came. In that case, things would be simple. "Master, I'm done packing. I'll go drink some water and wash my feet," Aunt Zhu said. Go ahead." Wang Zhong waved his hand. Ziru came back with Little Blossom. She held a jade bottle in her hand and chatted with Little Blossom as they walked. "Miss Ziru, you're so gentle. Although you have a birthmark on your face, it doesn't matter. You're the cutest person in my heart." Little Blossom swayed her body and flattered. "You little brat. I don't know who you learned this from. You're so good at flattery." Ziru laughed. "Hee, I'm telling the truth. If you don't have your birthmark, you'll be the most beautiful person. Let's eat." Wang Zhong sat on the ground. He cooked some meat soup and roasted 2 chicken legs. As for Aunt Zhu, she had already eaten before. For the next few days, Wang Zhong and the others spent most of their time chatting and walking. Along the way, Wang Zhong passed by several cities. Whenever he came across these cities, Wang Zhong would stay there for a day. After all, they were too tired from the journey. Not only did they need to replenish their supplies, but they also needed to replenish their energy. Finally, on a rainy day, the three of them rode on their horses and saw a city with pure black walls. On the city gate tower, there were two dazzling words, Li City. We're finally here. Ziru saw Li City and heaved a long sigh of relief. Although they did not encounter any danger along the way, she was really tired. After entering the city, she planned to rest for a while before making further plans. Top grade evil vanquishing sword. Sold cheap, sold cheap. Talisman paper. Who wants talisman paper? It's good stuff to enter the evil creature forest. Once they entered the city, different from other cities, the hawkers here sold things to deal with evil creatures. After Ziru's explanation, Wang Zhong knew that because Li City was close to the evil creature forest, people often entered the forest. Other than hunting, they would also enter the forest to pick herbs or cut down trees. After all, such a large forest was equivalent to a huge treasure. After entering the city, Ziru first entered an inn and prepared to book a room. However, Wang Zhong paused at the door. At the entrance of the inn, there was a notice. Arrest the court's wanted criminals, Dong Buyu, Han Guang Yu Qianqian. The notice not only had their names, but also their portraits. Below was the identity information of these three people. Simply put, the reason why they were arrested was because these three people came from foreign hostile countries and were suspected of treason. Anyone who harbored these three people would be regarded as treason. Chapter 171. Xiao Dong, what are you looking at? Seeing that Wang Zhong did not enter the room, Ziru walked out curiously. Look at these three wanted criminals. Wang Zhong pointed at the notice. Ziru walked out curiously. When she saw the notice, she was stunned. They actually, you know them? Seeing Ziru's shocked expression, Wang Zhong asked. Ziru lowered her head and looked around. Let's talk inside. Okay. Just like before, Wang Zhong let Aunt Zhu go out to gather information while he and Ziru returned to the room. After confirming that there was no one outside the room, Ziru said softly, the people on the notice are from the Immortal Mountain. They are the ones who came to pick me up. It seems like they have been exposed. Wang Zhong realized the seriousness of the problem. Once the three of them were caught, they might be exposed. That would be troublesome. Yes. Fortunately, it seems like they have not been caught. I will meet them at their place tomorrow. I hope everything will be fine. Ziru said worriedly. There was no other way now. Wang Zhong nodded. In the middle of the night, Aunt Zhu, who had gathered information, finally returned. It had to be said that Aunt Zhu's appearance was very convenient for gathering information. This was because she looked like an ordinary woman. How is it? Wang Zhong and Ziru sat in front of Aunt Zhu. There were a few bowls of dishes and tea on the table. Auntie Zhu poured herself a cup of tea. After finishing it in one gulp, she said in a low voice, Master, Miss Ziru, I've already asked around. These three people were interrogated a few days ago, but they did not have any identification on them. At that time, the soldiers wanted to arrest them. Later on, a fight broke out. Although they managed to escape, the entire city has been sealed off. No wonder when we entered the city today, there were only people who went in and not out. Wang Zhong said. This is troublesome. I wonder how they are now. Ziru said. Let's go to that place tomorrow to take a look. We will take our time. Wang Zhong stood up and said to Aunt Zhu, You eat first. We will return to the room. After returning with Ziru, the night passed. Early the next morning, Wang Zhong and Ziru went downstairs and soon heard the discussion downstairs. Sigh, that girl is really pitiful. She was actually tied up, and both her hands were chopped off. Isn't that so? Now that he's been caught, he'll be sent to the execution ground soon. Wang Zhong and Ziru looked at each other, their faces solemn. I'm afraid Senior Marshal's sister Yu was the one they caught. Ziru's eyes were red. I wonder how Senior Marshal brothers Dong Buyu and Han Guang are doing. Let's go and take a look. Wang Zhong sighed. The current situation was very troublesome. Strictly speaking, if these three people were captured, it would be very difficult for them to enter the evil creature forest. Even if they entered, they would not be able to find the way to the immortal mountain. The two of them were walking on the road when suddenly, several bailiffs, riding on horseback, approached them from afar. Behind these bailiffs was a carriage. The person in the carriage was covered by a black cloth, and her face could not be seen. However, from the words of the surrounding people, Wang Zhong knew that this person was the arrested suspect, Yu Qianqian. Senior Marshal Sister Yu. Ziru clenched her fists. She wanted to rush over and save her. However, Wang Zhong held her back. Don't be rash. Although there are only a few bailiffs here, there must be experts hiding in the dark waiting for us to make a move, Wang Zhong said. They watched as the carriage moved forward. Suddenly, a man in a white robe walked behind Ziru. Who is it? Wang Zhong frowned and almost instantly attacked the person behind him. Little brother, don't misunderstand. The person's words made Wang Zhong's hand pause. Senior Marshal Brother Han. Ziru was stunned. She quickly said to Wang Zhong, It's Senior Marshal Brother Han. Is that so? Wang Zhong looked around. You guys are. The person who came was Han Guang. He was wearing a white robe, so at first glance his face could not be seen. His face was pale and he said seriously, I'm seriously injured. Follow me. The two of them followed him to the back of the inn. Junior Marshal Sister Ziru, when did you guys arrive? Han Guang asked. Just yesterday. When we came over, we found your wanted notice. Senior Brother Han, what's going on? Speaking of which, we were unlucky. We were interrogated and our identities were discovered. Unfortunately, there was a master with the bailiffs. We were no match for him, and could only escape. Han Guang said in frustration. This was the same as the news Aunt Zhu had received. They could only say that they were unlucky, really unlucky. Originally, we had already escaped, and went to the stronghold where you were picked up. However, we did not expect to be followed along the way. The people in the stronghold were all dead. Han Guang's voice trembled. Senior Marshal Brother Dong and I escaped. Yu Qianqian was captured. Wang Zhong frowned. This matter was very troublesome. If it was not handled well, their families would be implicated. Senior Marshal Brother Han, what do you plan to do next? Don't worry, no matter what, I will help you, Ziru said seriously. As she spoke, Ziru thought of Wang Zhong. She turned her head and said, Young Master Zhao, you can go back later. Leave this to me. She spoke with unusual decisiveness, which made Wang Zhong have a whole new level of respect for her. After all, to be able to stay at this time without hesitation, one could only imagine her character. However, before Wang Zhong could speak, Han Guang sighed and said, Junior Marshal Sister Ziru, it was fine if I did not see you. However, since I have seen you, I will give you this. Han Guang took out a piece of paper and spread it out. On it was a detailed map of the evil creature forest. The interior of the evil creature forest is very winding and mysterious. Our immortal mountain has studied it for countless years, and found this path. Enter the forest and use the river as the boundary. Keep walking, and you will definitely be able to walk out. At that time, you will be in the territory of our immortal mountain. At that time, you will be able to find the immortal mountain easily. When the time comes, you just have to say Master's name. Han Guang said a lot in one go. It was obvious that he would not be able to accompany them on this trip. Senior Marshal Brother Han Yu, what do you mean by this? Ziru's gaze froze. Qianqian and I are childhood sweethearts. She has been captured. I cannot leave her to die. You are, haha. Han Guang revealed a sad smile. Senior Marshal Brother Dong died just now. He was seriously injured and could not be treated. Now that Qianqian has been captured, I have no reason to continue living. Brother Han, where there is life, there is hope, Wang Zhong said. No matter what, I will definitely save her. You can go now. Ziru, I am sorry. After Han Guang finished speaking, he walked out resolutely. Senior Marshal Brother Han. Although Ziru shouted, Han Guang did not look back. He walked resolutely toward the main street. Ziru, he has made up his mind to leave. Wang Zhong frowned. Senior Marshal Brother Han. Woo woo woo. In the huge square, A woman was carried down from the prisoner carriage. The area was crowded with people. They all knew that the prisoner was about to be beheaded. Usually, this was an exciting time. The area was always crowded with people. On the high platform, the official in charge of the beheading held a bamboo stick and shouted, "The auspicious time has arrived. Execute her immediately." The bamboo stick was thrown to the ground. The person in charge of the beheading raised his machete. However, at this time, Han Guang rushed out with his face covered. "Qian Qian, senior marshal brother, you should not have saved me." Yu Qian Qian looked at him with a pale face. "You should not have come. Qian Qian, if you are going to die, we will die together. If you are going to die, we will die together. Take him down." Suddenly, two masters rushed out from behind the high platform. Chapter 172. In fact, Han Guang knew that there was an ambush here. But so what? His brother was dead and his lover was captured. Han Guang no longer had the desire to live. 2 days later, the people in the city could finally leave. On the way, Ziru was sullen. That day, senior brother Han was besieged by two masters and died together with Yu Qianqian. Wang Zhong and Ziru were among the crowd, and saw it with their own eyes. Senior Han and senior sister died so tragically. I must avenge them. Ziru gritted her teeth and said, "Don't think too much." Brother Han knew it was an ambush, but he still went. He was prepared to die. Wang Zhong comforted her. Ziru nodded slightly. The two of them brought Auntie Zhu out of the city. As the city gates had been closed for a long time, there were many people coming out this time. Some of them were timber merchants and some were hunters. The only similarity was that each group had one or two people who knew how to deal with evil creatures. "Master, according to what I heard, these people only dare to move around the outskirts of the evil creature forest. They don't dare to go deeper," Aunt Zhu explained as they walked. "What kind of evil creatures are there?" Wang Zhong asked. "There are many. There are ghosts and demons. As for their specific strength, I don't know either," Aunt Zhu said. "If we can deal with the evil creatures in the evil creature forest, Hui Chao's trick of fooling the people will be solved." Unfortunately, Wang Zhong sighed as he looked at the vast forest. The three of them chatted as they walked. According to the map that Han Guang gave them, they soon arrived at the only river in the forest. This river meandered through the entire evil creature forest. The water was clear and many merchants liked to walk along this river when they entered the forest. After all, it was easy to replenish supplies by following the river. The more people there were, the more popular it would be. Along the way they met many merchants. These people lived on the edge of a knife, and had a murderous aura. When they saw Ziru, their eyes lit up. After all, any man would take a few more glances at a pretty girl on the road. Unfortunately, when they saw Ziru's face, these people all looked at Wang Zhong with pitiful gazes. This man must be a freeloader. How could he marry such an ugly woman? He must be greedy for the glory and wealth of a woman. If it were me, Humph, I would definitely marry her and save myself 20 years of hard work. Seeing these gazes, Wang Zhong was speechless. Fortunately, these people had lost interest in Ziru and walked away. Finally, after walking for a day and a night, they were very far into the forest. 3 days later, the number of people he encountered decreased. 7 days later, they finally arrived at a branch of the river. Here the river branched off to the left and right. In front of him was a stone tablet with the words "Death." This was a dead end. This was what Wang Zhong had heard from the caravans along the way. This was because they had already passed the outskirts of the evil creature forest. If they continued forward, monsters would run amok. There were too many demons and ghosts to count. Therefore, it was indeed a dead end for the caravans if they continued forward. This tombstone was also erected here by a predecessor. Its purpose was to tell others not to move forward. "Let's go." Wang Zhong looked at this tombstone. He knew that if they continued forward, they would begin to face danger. Fortunately, he was not unprepared. Whether it was him, Ziru, or Aunt Zhu, they all had the strength. Therefore, he was not afraid. According to the map, we will walk forward for 10 days. After that, we will walk to the right for 5 days. After passing through some small paths, we will be able to walk out of the forest. Ziru looked at the map and her face was full of fatigue. Aunt Ju also looked very tired. Her originally fat figure had become thinner after following Wang Zhong. However, her appearance had improved by a lot. At this moment, Wang Zhong finally understood why the people from Huiqiao did not know the truth about the spirit root. The reason was simple. The evil creature forest was too big. In ancient times, even if there were no evil creatures, they would not be able to walk out of such a big forest. Not to mention, there were many evil creatures in the forest now. Sob, sob, sob. 2 days later, the three of them walked to the side of a small mountain. As soon as he arrived, Wang Zhong heard the sound of someone crying. According to the map, many people have gone missing in this place. However, senior brother and the rest did not encounter any danger. Ziru reminded carefully. Yes, this place is indeed not simple. Aunt Ju took a deep breath. She smelled something wrong. Ziru, do you see anything? Wang Zhong asked. Ziru looked ahead and her gaze suddenly froze. This is... In her eyes, there was a big tree on the small mountain in front of them. However, there were countless corpses hanging on the top of the tree. These corpses were not real corpses. They were ghosts. These people had all died under this tree. However, perhaps people with level 1 spiritual roots had not been here before. So they did not know that there were so many ghosts here. Or perhaps, they had been here before, but did not care about what happened here. As Ziru was also a person with level 1 spiritual roots, she saw the same thing as Wang Zhong. For a moment, she did not know what to do. After all, seeing something or not made a difference in one's mental state. There are so many. Ziru looked at the ghosts on the tree and said, I wonder how many people have died there. So many people have gone missing. I'm afraid they have all died there. Wang Zhong sighed. Master, Miss Ziru, are you referring to the evil aura on the tree? Aunt Ju scratched her head curiously. She was a demon, and could also sense that something was wrong with the tree. Be careful. It's best not to go near that tree. Aunt Ju reminded. Wang Zhong nodded. He felt that it was better to avoid trouble. Let's go. However, when they walked over, the big tree in front of them quietly began to move. The roots at the bottom of the tree began to wriggle like snakes. Rustle, rustle, rustle. Rustle, rustle, rustle. The wriggling speed was very slow, but there were many of them. Wang Zhong immediately felt that something was wrong. This was because the ghosts hanging on the tree were falling down one by one. Give me back my life. I died so tragically. Die on my behalf. Die on my behalf. These evil beings were mumbling incoherently and extremely cold words as they quietly walked over. Something's wrong. Master, the evil aura is getting stronger. Aunt Ju stopped moving. She felt a dangerous aura approaching. There's something wrong with this tree. It's targeting us. Wang Zhong frowned. The roots on the ground were wriggling faster. They were already surrounded. Run. Wang Zhong decided not to stay any longer. Ziru, let's go. Okay. Almost at the same time, the sharp roots of the tree shot straight at Wang Zhong and the rest. Swoosh, 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 slash. Wang Zhong's eyes were cold. He instantly used the shadowless sword technique. This move was currently the most useful move in his swordsmanship. Once he used it, countless sword shadows would appear around him. Chi chi chi. The roots were cut off one by one. Wang Zhong rushed in front while Aunt Ju followed at the back. The group moved quickly. Give me back my life. An evil being suddenly pounced. Wang Zhong shouted, Energy talisman. Bang! The evil being instantly exploded. Why didn't this evil tree attack your senior brother and the rest when they passed by? Why did it only attack us? Aunt Ju asked gloomily as she fought. Chapter 173. How would I know? Ziru yelled. Limitless sword technique. The sword in her hand was a soft sword that was extremely thin and soft. After she swung it, the sword shadows were like agile snakes that shot out softly. It was not weak either. However, it was not as wild and domineering as Wang Zhong's sword technique. Wang Zhong was also puzzled about this. Both of them had level 1 spirit roots, and according to Ziru, she had been diligent in martial arts since she was young. However, why was he so strong now? After thinking about it, He attributed it to the fact that he had memories of martial arts since he was young. For example, he did not need to experience the mysteries of martial arts. He only needed to familiarize his body with it. Therefore, no matter how difficult the martial arts were, he could master it very quickly. On the other hand, Ziru might need to spend a lot of time just to learn a set of martial arts. The difference between them was obvious. The demon tree's attacks were indeed troublesome, but that was all there was to it. After the three of them quickly left the demon tree, the tree trunk behind them could no longer reach them. After leaving the demon tree's range, the three of them came to the riverside again. The sky gradually darkened and dark clouds covered the sky. Wang Zhong frowned. This was a sign that it was going to rain. It's going to rain again. Let's find a place to hide from the rain, Wang Zhong said. Yes, there's a big tree in front, but Ziru sounded worried. After all, they had just dealt with the demon tree. Seeing this kind of big tree again, she was indeed worried. However, after Wang Zhong looked at it, he said, "There's no evil aura. Let's go." When they came under the big tree, the rain poured down. Wang Zhong pulled a large cloth over his head and tied it. This way it could easily block some of the rain. "Master, Miss Ziru, please rest. I, old pig, will keep watch for you," Aunt Ju said as she patted her chest. In response, Wang Zhong shook his head. He took out a few talisman papers and placed them beside him. These were strength talismans. Once a demon approached, these talismans would immediately explode. "Xiaodong, why do you have so many talismans?" Ziru was very surprised. "I know how to make them. I learned from someone when I was young," Wang Zhong said. "That's amazing." Auntie Zhu smiled honestly. Ziru was also incomparably shocked. According to her knowledge, although many masters could refine talismans, those were all ordinary talismans. The high-grade talismans in Wang Zhong's hands were extremely rare. After voicing his doubts, Wang Zhong thought for a while and frowned. Maybe it has something to do with the fact that we all have level 1 spiritual roots. That's right, Ziru. Are there many people with level 1 spiritual roots? Ziru sighed and shook her head. That day I met my master. She told me that it was very rare, especially for Hui Chao. It was because people with level 1 spiritual roots would die before they turned 10. I don't know why, but I was tested to have a level 2 spiritual root. The talismans I learned might be related to my talent, but that doesn't seem right. Although those grandmasters don't have first-grade spiritual roots, their strength isn't weak either, Ziru said. Hearing Ziru's question, Wang Zhong was also confused, especially when he thought of Gao Jinren. His talisman techniques could be said to have all been learned from Gao Jinren. He knew that Gao Jinren's talent could be said to be very weak, but he still self-taught and had an extraordinary ability to refine talismans. Was this a coincidence? If it wasn't, then there might be another reason. For example, the 2 books that he learned. These 2 books were on qi refinement and rune techniques. Among them, the qi refinement book was extremely mysterious. After cultivating it, he found that the speed of his advancement was obviously much faster. As for rune techniques, although it didn't talk about many types of talismans, it was obviously different from the others on how to use qi with the talismans. The most obvious difference was that when he was dealing with the corpse tide, the other people's incantations were different. Only he chanted, "Heaven and earth are limitless, heaven and earth borrow the power of the universe." This meant that their inheritance was different from his. Since the path was different, it meant that there were strong and weak ones. Now that his talismans were so strong, Wang Zhong reckoned that this was probably the difference between their techniques. Then Gao Jinren's inheritance is probably different. Wait a minute. Wang Zhong suddenly had a flash of inspiration. Gao Jinren's surname was Gao, right? The former patriarch of the Gao family village was called Gao Dongtian, and his surname was also Gao. Could it be Gao Jinren was originally a member of the Gao family? His inheritance was all from Gao Dongtian. Thinking of this, Wang Zhong's heart surged. Vaguely, he seemed to have grasped something. If Gao Jinren's inheritance was all from Gao Dongtian, then it was not impossible for him to be so strong. "Xiaodong, what are you thinking about?" Ziru asked curiously when she saw Wang Zhong thinking. "Nothing. I suddenly thought of something that seems to be quite important." Wang Zhong shook his head. He decided to study Gao Jinren's 2 books more in the future. Little Blossom. After eating, Wang Zhong called out Little Blossom. Master, what's the matter? Little Blossom blinked and was unusually respectful. Summon a few people to keep watch for us at night. Little Blossom's pollen was free labor. It would be a waste not to use it. Oh. Little Blossom began to shake again. Let's shake together. Soon, dozens of orioles and swallows were shaken out. You can go outside and walk around, Little Blossom said majestically. Wah wah wah. A group of little fairies ran out. Master, it's cold at night. Do you need someone to warm your bed? Little Blossom asked respectfully. I don't need that. Get some rest. Okay. Little Blossom nodded. Good night, Miss Ziru. Good night, Auntie Zhu. Auntie Zhu snorted. Fairies. Because there were several layers of protection, there was no danger at night. During the day, the fairies transformed from pollen disappeared one by one. They turned into small seeds and were buried in the soil. Perhaps after a few months, these little pollen would slowly grow and become little flowers. However, whether they could become fairies like Little Blossom depended on fate. Following the route on the map, it was indeed much safer. Occasionally, they would encounter some ordinary evil beings, which were easily dealt with by Wang Zhong. After about 20 days, they encountered fewer evil beings. Occasionally, they could see human footprints. After walking for a few more days, they finally encountered a group of people. This group of people was cutting down a big tree. When they saw Wang Zhong and the others walk out, they did not pay much attention to them. They thought that Wang Zhong and the others were gathering herbs. For safety reasons, Wang Zhong did not ask these people. Instead, he continued walking. After 3 days, the trees became fewer and fewer. They finally walked out of the evil creature forest. The sun was bright, and the weather was clear at the periphery of the evil creature forest. As soon as they walked out, they saw a huge square. Many medicine merchants and wood merchants were here to buy goods produced by the evil creature forest. So many people. Ziru excitedly walked around and looked around. Let's find a chance to ask for directions to the immortal mountain. Right now they knew nothing about this place. Therefore, they had to figure out the situation as soon as possible. Everyone, the current emperor of the Hui dynasty is muddle-headed and incompetent. He took the state preceptor as his master. He bewitched the imperial court and committed all kinds of crimes. Now the people of the Hui dynasty actually think that those with low spiritual roots are the weakest. They are really fooling the world. When they passed by a tavern, Wang Zhong saw a storyteller telling the story of the Hui dynasty. Many of the customers were intoxicated by the story. It's a pity that the evil creature forest is blocking us. Otherwise, we would definitely go to the Hui dynasty and save its citizens, the storyteller shouted. Forget it. The people of the famous countries nearby are almost all dead, someone shouted. Chapter 174. Upon hearing Minggua's name, Wang Zhong and Ziru subconsciously stopped. Both of them remembered that in Ziru's study, there was a book that talked about Ming country. Everyone there lived in peace and contentment. Those with low spiritual roots had strong innate talents, and vice versa. But now that they heard that everyone in Ming country was dying, it was strange. Have a seat. Ziru walked in. The three of them sat down. Wang Zhong handed the storyteller a few copper coins and nodded. It's pretty good. Continue. According to Ziru, the currency and language here were the same, so they brought enough money with them. Thank you, young master. The storyteller smiled gratefully. It seemed like everyone liked the reward. The storyteller continued. Just now, you said that everyone in Ming country is dead. But it's because of this that we sympathize with the people of Hui dynasty. The storyteller spoke for a while more, and was about to call it a day. At this moment Wang Zhong walked over. Well said. I wonder if you can tell me more about the famous countries. Why are they all dead? That's right. Young master, you don't know? The storyteller was curious. I came from outside. I really don't know, Wang Zhong said. Alright. Ming country is just a small country with a population of less than 300,000. In the past, there were many cultivators, and everyone lived in peace and contentment. But after that, the current emperor cultivated evil arts and wanted to embark on the path to immortality. I don't know where he got the evil arts from. He actually absorbs people's spiritual roots to cultivate. For so many years, Ming country has been strictly sealed. Outsiders are not allowed to enter, and the people inside are not allowed to come out. A year ago, an old man and a young man escaped from Ming country. We just received news that most of the people in Ming country were dead. Now, only the emperor and his lackeys are left. Ming country is in such a terrible situation. Does no one care? Wang Zhong asked. Is it far from here? It's too far. We can't care. Although our immortal mountain is powerful, it's not stable internally. Everyone wants to cultivate and become immortals. Who has time to care about other countries? Wang Zhong nodded. The chaos of the world was beyond his imagination. The root of it all was probably immortal ascension. All cultivators wanted to become immortals, but it was extremely difficult to do so. Most importantly, the people of the world did not know how to become an immortal, so some people chose to use sorcery, while others chose to devour other people's spirit roots to strengthen themselves. Everyone had their own path. This caused the entire world to be plunged into misery and suffering. In order to prevent people from surpassing him, the imperial tutor even killed people with low spirit roots to achieve it. This storyteller knew a lot of things. He even talked about the Immortal Mountains. The Immortal Mountain was located in the center of this continent. The so-called Immortal Mountain was not a mountain, but a huge mountain range that stretched endlessly. Around them were ordinary cities, small towns, and even villages. All the towns and villages on the huge continent surrounding the Immortal Mountain were led by people appointed by the Immortal Mountain. In a sense, the Hui dynasty was a monarch, while the Immortal Mountain was actually directly led by the Immortal Mansion. This small town was quite a distance away from the Immortal Mountain. Therefore, Wang Zhong and Ziru did not stop and continued on their way. Then they bought 3 horses and sped up. It had to be said that the Immortal Mountain was much safer than the Hui dynasty. There were no powerful evil beings here. Even in the middle of the night, there were still many people walking on the official road. 3 days later, a huge mountain range was finally discovered. It was too big. Even though it was still far away, it was still easy to see. Along the way, many people even knelt and bowed to the Immortal Mountain. Wang Zhong was very surprised. At this moment, they were heading to a city called Immortal City. This city was the largest city on the Immortal Mountain. Its scale was immeasurable, and its population was in the millions. Before they reached the city gate, there were many carriages and countless pedestrians. Wang Zhong and Ziru finally understood what it meant to be surrounded. It was also here that Auntie Zhu could not leave. The reason was simple. There were many experts near the Immortal Mountain. With their strength, it was easy for them to tell that Auntie Zhu was a demon. Auntie Zhu, I'll give you some silver. You can live in the outskirts of the Immortal City from now on. Wang Zhong gave her some silver. Don't worry. When I'm done, I'll look for you. Auntie Zhu hurriedly nodded. Master, if you need anything, you can call for my soul in your body. Oh no. Wang Zhong nodded. Although Auntie Zhu had been doing her best and was very obedient, he would not give her her soul so easily. Go, go, go. I'm on duty. Don't block the way. At this moment, the voice of a constable came from afar. There was a large group of people behind him. The people on the road hurriedly made way. At this moment, a man jumped down from a carriage and shouted to the leader of the constables. I'm Mao He, a disciple of the Immortal Mountain. Why are you so fast? So you're a disciple of the Immortal Mountain. In this world, the Immortal Mountain had a special meaning. Therefore, the constable hurriedly cupped his hands and shouted, Young Master Mao, a village near the border of a famous country has suddenly disappeared. What? Why did they suddenly disappear? Mao He frowned and asked. I'm not sure, but it must have something to do with the evil arts of the famous country. I was just about to report this. Go on. Come back early. The constable respectfully nodded and quickly left. After they left, Auntie Zhu also left. Wang Zhong and Ziru walked into the Immortal City. A village of people in Black Bear Village has mysteriously died. I can't believe such a thing would happen in the Immortal Mountain. Ziru said. If most of the people in the famous country are dead, then for the sake of cultivation, the people there would target other people. It's normal to deal with people from the immortal mountain. The poor commoners are going to suffer again. When the two of them entered the city, it was already very late. Along the way, the two of them had spent a lot of money. Therefore, when they checked in for the night, Ziru suggested, Xiaodong, we don't have much money. If you don't mind, let's stay in the same room. For the past few days, they had been sleeping in separate rooms. It was not that Wang Zhong thought highly of himself, but he thought that since the two of them were in a fake marriage, he naturally would not deliberately take advantage of the little girl. However, this time, they did not have much money on them. Because they did not know how to go up the immortal mountain for the time being, it would be very troublesome if they ran out of money. Therefore, Wang Zhong nodded in agreement. At night, the bustling immortal city was silent. Xiaodong, are you asleep? Ziru asked. Not yet. Tomorrow morning, I'll go to the foot of the mountain to take a look. Don't worry, I'll mention you to my senior brothers and sisters. When I see Master, I'll strive to let you enter the immortal mountain and learn martial arts. Sigh, but after entering the immortal mountain I might not see each other much in the future. I heard from Master that there are many rules in the immortal mountain. Everyone has to work hard to learn martial arts. Every year, if someone does not meet the requirements to learn martial arts, they will be expelled from the immortal mountain. As she spoke, Wang Zhong suddenly felt Ziru's head pressing against his back. Although we won't see each other much, but I won't forget you. You're the first man to look me in the eye. I know I'm ugly, but thank you. Ziru, don't say that. Wang Zhong turned around and their eyes met. Chapter 175. At this moment, the atmosphere became strange. Along the way, the two of them had supported each other and talked to each other. They were already very close to each other. Now that they were going to be separated tomorrow, a sour feeling spread in his heart. To Wang Zhong, Ziru's ugliness was just her appearance. Was he the kind of person who only cared about appearances? And so in the dark, a sleepless night, Wang Zhong felt that he was a jerk. At such a young age, he already had 3 women. But was this what he wanted? Of course not. He just didn't want to let these people down. Sometimes people were really helpless. Thank you, Xiaodong. In the morning, Ziru got out of bed embarrassedly. She put on her clothes and walked with a limp. On the way to the immortal mountain, the two of them didn't talk much. Because they knew that after today, the two of them would be separated. Finally, they arrived at the foot of the immortal mountain. At the foot of the mountain was a huge house. This house represented the immortal mountain. At this moment, many people were kneeling to the immortal mountain. At the door of the house, there were 2 disciples of the immortal mountain guarding it. From time to time, disciples of the immortal mountain would walk out of the house and squeeze through the crowd to enter the house. In the backyard of the house, there was a flight of stairs that led to the immortal mountain. These disciples were already used to the crowd at the door, so they didn't care. They came and went without disturbing each other. Xiaodong, I'll go first. Ziru held Wang Zhong's hand and walked over. Seeing Ziru walk over, Wang Zhong waited outside. Time passed by slowly. Little Blossom, who was in his arms, couldn't wait any longer. Master, why isn't Sister Ziru here yet? Wang Zhong said unhappily. I'm not in a hurry. Why are you in a hurry? I'm just lamenting. Look, the aura here is so strong. This should be energy. I feel that a day here is equivalent to a month of cultivation in the place where I used to live. If the outer area of the immortal mountain is like this, it must be even more powerful inside. Wang Zhong agreed with Little Blossom's opinion. The energy here was very dense. Cultivating here would yield twice the results with half the effort. This was probably the reason why the immortal mountain was located here. Looking at the celestial mountain from afar, the high dome was filled with celestial mist. Only rows of stairs could be seen. Other than that, there was nothing else. Originally, Wang Zhong thought that he would only need to wait for a short while before Ziru would appear. But until evening, there was no one. The immortal mountain is closed. Idlers, please leave. Following the shout of the disciple guarding the door, The group of mortals kneeling outside gradually dispersed, leaving Wang Zhong alone. Ziru, why didn't she come out? Wang Zhong furrowed his brows. He believed that Ziru would not leave him here for no reason. But now she didn't come out. Master, Sister Ziru, she wouldn't. Xiaohua was a simple-minded person. She immediately suspected that Ziru had left on her own. Speaking of which, he and Ziru had not known each other for long. Perhaps she really did not care about Master anymore? Wang Zhong shook his head. Something must have happened. I'll wait for a few more days. He had no more silver on him. There was nothing he could do. Ziru had brought a lot of silver with her. He had already spent all his silver, so he had always left it with Ziru. Now that Ziru suddenly did not come out, he was really penniless. Fortunately, he had some food with him. It could last him for 3 days. That night, he slept on the stone table outside the house. Fortunately, there were many people like him. Some of them laid on the ground, while others sat cross-legged and seemed to be meditating. They seemed to be cultivators who had learned some superficial knowledge. Unfortunately, the energy in their bodies was too weak. Without guidance, they could not go far. Wang Zhong waited for 2 days. Unfortunately, there was no news of Ziru. He was depressed. What happened to Ziru? Why didn't she come out? Wang Zhong frowned. Logically speaking, with Ziru's character, she would definitely come down the mountain to inform him no matter how troublesome it was. Even if she really could not go up the mountain, she would at least say something. But this time she did not. She must have encountered something troublesome or lost her freedom. This morning, Wang Zhong looked at the remaining 3 steamed buns in his bag and a chicken drumstick. He reluctantly ate the drumstick. Then, he went to a nearby river to drink some water. Only then did he make up his mind and walk towards the disciple guarding the gate of the immortal mountain. This disciple obviously knew Wang Zhong. After all, Wang Zhong had been at the gate for several days. Seeing Wang Zhong walk over, this person hurriedly waved his hand and showed a look of disgust. Hey beggar, don't come near me. Wang Zhong's expression froze. These days, he had been wandering outside, and there was indeed an unpleasant smell on him. Senior brother, a few days ago, I came here with a girl called Ziru. She is a disciple of the immortal mountain. She promised me that after I went up the mountain, she would bring me up for a chat. But I have already waited for so many days and I have no money left. If it's possible, please inform her. Haha. The disciple laughed disdainfully. There were scammers every year, but there were especially many this year. He had been guarding the gate here for many years. Almost every few days, there would be people coming up with all kinds of excuses to enter the mountain. Some people were seriously ill and wanted to find immortal medicine to prolong their lives. Some people thought that they were very talented and wanted to be apprenticed to a master. Some cultivators felt that they had reached a bottleneck in their cultivation and wanted to go up the mountain to look for opportunities. Most of them overestimated their own abilities and wanted to become immortals. Too many. However, this person had found a good excuse. He actually said that he knew the disciple inside. Seeing the face of this disciple, Wang Zhong frowned. He could feel this person's mockery. Friend you. Before Wang Zhong could finish, the disciple waved his hand. Who's your friend? Hurry up and leave. Please inform them that I do know Ziru. You know her? I also know the founder of the immortal mountain. Hurry up and leave. Without the notice of the disciple inside, you can't go up. The disciple sighed. I see that you've been guarding here for many days. Let me give you a piece of advice. Leave. Naturally, Wang Zhong would not leave so easily. He frowned and said, Brother, if a lady named Ziru asks about me, please tell her that I'm nearby. Alright, let's go. If senior brother sees me chatting, I'll be scolded again. Wang Zhong sighed. He did not expect things to turn out this way. Now that he did not have much money on him, Wang Zhong walked on the street and looked at the buns on the side of the street. He could not help but swallow a mouthful of saliva. No, I have to find a good job nearby. We'll talk about it after Mr. Wang survives. Wang Zhong thought to himself and walked to a bun shop. Boss, sir, what would you like? Cough that. Do you need a waiter? Chapter 176. Buddy. The bun seller stared at Wang Zhong and looked him up and down. Only then did he realize that he was dirty and smelly. He said angrily, "Go, go, go. There's no shortage of people here. If you're not going to buy anything, then leave." You. Wang Zhong wanted to say something, but after thinking about it, he didn't have any reason to ask for anything. He was indeed dirty and smelly now. Sigh, why was the game so difficult this time? Although the game was difficult in the past, it was mostly difficult when he was young. When he grew up, the difficulty of the game was basically solved. But it was different now. He was already so old and strong, but he was still stuck here. Sigh. Wang Zhong sighed. Could it be that he should let Xiaohua transform into some pollen and sell it? That didn't seem good. Maybe it would be. Thus, Wang Zhong could only put down his pride and continue to go to one shop after another. He came to the blacksmith shop. "Boss, I can do odd jobs. Scram with your skinny arms and legs." He came to the restaurant. "Boss, I can serve tea and water. Give me something to eat." "Go, go, go, we're not short of people here." He came to the pawn shop. "Boss, I can do the accounting. We're not short of people. You can go." Wang Zhong strolled until evening, but no one wanted to take him in. He also finished the bun in his hand. It's true that a penny stumps a hero. I didn't expect that I, Wang Zhong, would have a day like this. Wang Zhong frowned. It wasn't that he didn't have any other ideas. He was so strong that he could rob the rich and give to the poor. But it was very troublesome to do so in the city. As he was thinking, he quickly came to the entrance of an inn called Fated Guest. At this moment, a lady boss was holding a pile of buns and shouted, "These are extra buns. Who wants them?" There were already many beggars waiting at the entrance of the inn. Hearing this, they all raised their hands and shouted, "Me, me, me. You can take them yourselves." The lady boss put the basin on the ground and lifted the white cloth. The buns were taken away by the beggars. There were many buns, but looking at their appearance, they were all dry and hard. It was obvious that they had been stored for a long time. In addition, there were many leftovers in the basin. Judging from the looks of it, they were all leftovers. Soon, the pile of leftover food and steamed buns were all taken away. The group of beggars repeatedly expressed their thanks and left. Wang Zhong rubbed his stomach. He had wanted to rob the rich and give to the poor, but when he saw this scene he stopped. Naturally, he did not join the group of beggars to snatch food. Instead he stood far away. Finally, after waiting for the beggar to leave, Wang Zhong walked over. The lady boss looked to be in her 40s. Although she was old, she still retained her charm and was dressed very brightly. Wang Zhong had been standing there for a while. Naturally, she had already noticed him. She felt that it was strange. This person was wearing shabby clothes. Why didn't he fight for food with the other beggars? Was he an idiot? Thinking of this, the lady boss instinctively retreated back into the house. After all, it would be very troublesome if she encountered a crazy fool. "Madam, please wait." Wang Zhong walked over. "What's the matter?" Seeing that Wang Zhong's expression was quite normal, the lady stopped and thought for a moment before asking, "Are you hungry? Why didn't you eat with those people just now?" "I'm not a beggar." Wang Zhong shook his head. He still wanted this bit of dignity. "Then you are." "I came from another province and ended up here. I've already used up all the money I have." "Madam, are you hiring?" The lady shook her head helplessly. Now that the business was getting worse, how could she be in the mood to hire? "Sorry, we are full," said the lady. I don't want a salary. Just give me clean food." Wang Zhong had thought about it. He wanted to settle down first. After he familiarized himself with the place, he could slowly consider earning money. "You don't want a salary?" The lady stopped in her tracks. If he didn't want a salary, it was fine. Her small shop had been here for many years. Every few days, there would be leftovers. It didn't matter if she had an extra mouth. "Yes, I don't want a salary. I just want a place to sleep and food to eat." Wang Zhong smiled. "By the way, I might go out sometimes. I won't be gone for long." "What are you going to do? Also, how did you end up here?" Since she wanted to hire a worker, she first had to figure out the person's identity. Wang Zhong said, "I came here with a friend to go to the Immortal Mountain." "Go to the Immortal Mountain?" The lady was immediately amused. She had been here for many years, and had seen many young disciples who wanted to go to the immortal mountain. However, without exception, they were all stopped at the door. "Where's your friend?" asked the lady. "She went up the mountain. She is a disciple of the immortal mountain," explained Wang Zhong. At this moment, the lady looked at Wang Zhong's face with pity. Poor child. His friend must have abandoned him. She had seen this kind of thing many times. Many people abandoned their parents in order to seek opportunities in the immortal mountain. They even left their wives and children behind. The person in front of her was just an ordinary friend. It was a very normal thing. She must have found him embarrassing, so she didn't care about him. The lady thought to herself. In the immortal mountain, the people inside were not detached from the world. They were the same as everyone else. They had emotions, jealousy, and vanity. Sometimes they would find the people around them shameful and cut ties with them. There were many such cases. However, the lady didn't say much. She faintly sympathized with Wang Zhong. She nodded and said, "If you don't want a salary, that's fine. You can work here. Don't worry about your meals. As for your accommodation, you can stay in the woodshed. It's quite big. I'll get someone to build a temporary bed. What do you think?" "Okay." Wang Zhong nodded. He didn't mind. During the conversation, Wang Zhong learned that the lady was called Shen Sisi. In the early years, she and her husband ran the inn and lived a happy life. However, 2 years ago, her husband suddenly contracted a serious illness and died. He only left the inn and their 2 teenage sons behind. In the past, business had been good because Shen Sisi's husband was good at cooking, and the dishes he cooked were delicious. However, after her husband's death, the chef he hired was mediocre, and business gradually declined. Now they were barely able to maintain business. Just like the steamed buns and leftovers that she gave away tonight. It wasn't that Shen Sisi was generous, but that she really couldn't finish them. If she left them out, the taste would change. She couldn't give them to the guests, right? Therefore, she didn't want to waste them and gave them away. The small inn wasn't big. It had 2 floors. The lower floor was for individual seats, and the upper floor was for elegant rooms. There was a row of small houses at the back where the inn and Shen Sisi lived. As for the kitchen, it was also in the backyard and connected to the inn. In addition to Shen Sisi, there was also a chef in the inn. The 2 people who helped to wash and cut the vegetables were Shen Sisi's sons. There were also 3 waiters outside who served tea and water. There weren't many people, but it was enough. Therefore, there was no need to hire more people. However, since Wang Zhong didn't need to be paid, Shen Sisi took him in. She brought Wang Zhong to the woodshed next to the kitchen. This room was much bigger than Wang Zhong had imagined, and it was actually quite clean. Shen Sisi's 2 sons brought a long chair over and placed it by the side. These 2 sons looked to be 12 or 13 years old. They looked quite similar to Shen Sisi. "Zhao Xiaodong, you can stay here tonight. I'll help you tidy up tomorrow," Shen Sisi said as she held the quilt. "Okay. Thank you, lady boss." Wang Zhong sighed. He didn't expect to return to his days of working. Chapter 177. Xiaodong, chop the firewood and get more. We have 2 tables reserved today, so we can't be careless. Shen Sisi instructed Wang Zhong early in the morning. Wang Zhong had already washed his face and brushed his teeth. He nodded and said, "Don't worry, lady boss." Shen Sisi smiled. Although Zhao Xiaodong was young, he was well-educated and sensible. She could tell that he was a sensible young man. She then took out 3 meat buns and said, "Eat. You'll only have the strength to work after eating." "Okay." Wang Zhong began to chop the firewood. Pa! The axe easily split the firewood. Shen Sisi's 2 sons were in the kitchen cutting and washing vegetables, preparing for today's meal. The eldest son was called Shi Wangli, and the younger son was called Shi Lin. They were both quite sensible, and woke up earlier than Shen Sisi. "Dolly, are the dishes ready? Squire Li is hosting a banquet later, so we have to hurry." Shen Sisi walked into the kitchen. "Mother, Shi Lin and I are ready," Shi Wangli said. Wang Zhong nodded and said, "The firewood is ready." Shen Sisi frowned and said, "Old Su isn't here yet?" Old Su was the head chef, and the only chef here. He was in his 40s. This old Sue is the only chef here. He's always late and leaves early. He even wants us to pay him more. It's really outrageous, Shi Wangli said unhappily. Shirlin nodded and said, Mother, I don't understand. Can't we find any other chefs outside? Why him? Shen Sisi sighed and said, Keep your voices down. If he hears you and quits, we'll be in trouble. But, Shi Wangli was about to speak again when Shen Sisi interrupted. I have no choice. There are only a few chefs in the city, and it's not easy to find one. Although there are a few, the salary is too high. With our current business, how can we afford such a high salary? Her two sons fell silent. Wang Zhong also raised his eyebrows. He didn't expect Shen Sisi's to be in such a predicament. That's why I sent the two of you to help him secretly, Shen Sisi continued. Sigh, but old Sue never taught us how to cook. We secretly learned a few times, but the dishes we cooked were just so. Shirlinju said sadly. Take a look when you're free, Shen Sisi said. Got it, mother. Hearing the family's words, Wang Zhong had an idea. After experiencing so many lifetimes, his cooking skills were already pretty good. Why don't I be the chef? Such opportunities were hard to come by. However, at this moment, a waiter ran in and whispered, Lady boss, old Sue is back. Yes. Hurry up and ask her to come over. The guests are coming. We have to get ready, Shen Sisi said hurriedly. I'm coming. What are you rushing me for? A man with a big belly walked in. Old Sue. When she saw the man, Shen Sisi's expression softened a little. There was even a hint of flattery in her voice. Squire Li invited 2 tables of guests today, and asked us to prepare in advance. Please hurry up. She had no choice. Old Sue was the only chef here. Even if Shen Sisi was the lady boss, she had to be pleasant to the only chef. Old Sue nodded with a cold expression and said, I know. I overslept. There was no hint of apology in his tone. Shi Wangli and Shirlin looked very displeased. Old Sue was late and left early. It was one thing for him to be sloppy, but especially his attitude. Did he think that he owned this inn? Was he the boss? However, no matter how displeased they were, they didn't dare to say anything. This was because Shi Wangli once offended old Sue with his words, causing old Sue to quit that day. That day, they didn't make any business at all and suffered heavy losses. In the end, Shen Sisi had no choice but to apologize to old Sue and reward him with 2 taels of silver. Only then did the matter drop. After that, old Sue began to roll up his sleeves and prepare to cook. Since Wang Zhong had nothing to do, he took the initiative to wipe the table and serve tea. Seeing that Wang Zhong was so capable, Shen Sisi's mood improved a little. Wang Zhong took a cloth and wiped the table outside. Soon the customers gradually came in to eat. Wang Zhong busied himself for a while. When he saw Shen Sisi calculating the accounts at the counter alone, he thought for a moment and took the initiative to walk over. Xiaodong, what's the matter? Shen Sisi, who had finished calculating the accounts, asked curiously when she saw Wang Zhong walking over. Lady boss, it's like this. I just saw that old Sue didn't seem very willing to work, so I thought I could give it a try. Wang Zhong revealed his intentions. You want to give it a try? Shen Sisi sized up Wang Zhong. This child in front of her was not even 20 years old. She really couldn't tell that he could cook. Xiaodong, I know you want to make money, but not everyone can be a chef. My family also runs a restaurant. I can do it. It's not a matter of whether you can or can't. Our restaurant has requirements for the taste. If the customers are not satisfied, we can't do it. Shen Sisi naturally didn't believe Wang Zhong's words so easily. She thought that Wang Zhong only said that because he wanted to make money. As they were talking, old Sue shouted from inside. The dishes are ready. Xiaodong, don't talk anymore. Go in and serve the dishes. Got it. Wang Zhong sighed. It seemed that it wasn't that easy to become a chef. At this time, Landlord Li and his group of friends and relatives came in from outside. Shen Sisi hurriedly went over to greet Squire Li. Lady boss, are the dishes ready? Landlord Li asked politely. Yes, they are ready. Good. 2 pots of tea first. Let's start with the dishes. Okay. Very quickly, Wang Zhong brought the dishes up to the 2nd floor. Dear guests, please enjoy your meal. This time, Wang Zhong served some cold dishes. After finishing, Wang Zhong sighed. He didn't expect to become a waiter serving tea and water. Alas, a hero can't be beaten by a penny. Forget it. When I'm done today, I'll cook some dishes myself to broaden the lady boss's horizons. Soon, the dishes were served one by one. The diners upstairs began to toast each other and chat. As for downstairs, the number of diners gradually increased. Although there weren't many people here, it was quite lively. It seemed that business was good today. Wang Zhong had been busy, but soon, Landlord Li suddenly shouted from upstairs, "Waiter, come here." Wang Zhong frowned. His tone didn't sound good. At this moment, the other waiters were busy at other tables, so he went up. "Sir, what's the matter? I say, what are you doing?" Landlord Li picked up a bowl of burnt fried chicken and put it in front of Wang Zhong. "The chicken under the bowl is burnt. Are you feeding pigs? Pigs don't eat burnt food." "That's right. And look at this bowl of fried vegetables. The vegetables are all yellow." Someone else chimed in. "I don't think this restaurant is sincere." "Hey, Old Li, I said we should eat at Drunken Immortal House. I know the boss there. The food is cheap and delicious." The diners began to talk. "What's the matter?" Shin Sisi heard the noise downstairs and hurried up. "Lady boss, I'm a regular here. What's wrong with you today? Is this the food you cooked for me?" Landlord Li pointed at the dishes angrily. "You have to give me an explanation. Otherwise, I won't pay today's bill." "I'm sorry, Landlord Li. These dishes are not delicious. I won't charge," Shin Sisi said anxiously. Chapter 178. "So what if we don't charge? We're almost done," someone shouted. "That's right. Are you bullying Brother Li?" Some people like to kick up a fuss, especially when they caught a little. Some of them like to bully others, while others like to bully Shin Sisi, because she was a woman. Shin Sisi was very agitated. At this moment, Wang Zhong stepped forward with a smile and said, "Our lady boss is obviously not bullying Big Brother Li. It's precisely because she respects Big Brother Li that she is doing this. Lady boss has long said that Big Brother Li is a person of virtue and prestige. With Big Brother Li's character, if you say that this meal is free, wouldn't that be slapping Big Brother Li's face? After all, Brother Li is treating all of you to this meal." Landlord Li's expression softened when he heard that. However, someone still didn't give up. In the end, you're just bluffing. Tell us, what should we do with these dishes?" "It's simple." Wang Zhong looked at them sharply. "These 2 dishes are free. We'll cook them later. If you don't like them, we'll treat you to the next meal." Wang Zhong smiled and cupped his hands. "You're all reasonable scholars. I can see that you're knowledgeable and talented. You're not ordinary people. I believe that you'll give us a chance for Landlord Li's sake." After he said that, it was too embarrassing for them to fall out with him even if they wanted to. They sat down one by one. Landlord Li nodded. "Young man, you're right. Go ahead and cook. But if it's not good enough, don't blame me for falling out with you." "Got it, Boss Li." Wang Zhong nodded solemnly and went downstairs with Shin Sisi. "Sai, what should we do?" Although the dilemma was solved for the time being, a bigger problem appeared. If the dishes were still not good, they would be in trouble. Not only would they disappoint the customers, but they would also have to prepare 2 tables for dinner. How could a small shop like his afford such an invitation? "Lady boss, don't worry. I can cook," Wang Zhong said. Shin Sisi shook her head, as if she didn't hear him. "Forget it. I'll talk to Boss Su. I hope he'll cook more carefully." When they entered the kitchen, Boss Su was cooking in full swing. However, he looked a little sloppy. As he cooked, he yawned as if he hadn't woken up yet. "Master Su, this dish seems too salty." Sherlin picked up a piece of meat and frowned. Earlier, he saw that old Su seemed to have added a little too much salt. He did not expect it to really be salty. Old Su glanced at Sherlin unhappily and said in a muffled voice, "What nonsense are you talking about? What do you mean by salty? Isn't it just right?" "It is indeed salty," Shi Wangli said after tasting it. "Hee, I think you guys are deliberately looking for trouble." Old Su's gaze was cold and sharp. Today, he was indeed not in the right state of mind. There was nothing he could do about it. Last night, he went to the gambling house and played all night. How could he have the energy to cook today? At this moment, he could only brace himself. After all, he was the only chef in this restaurant. What could they do to him? To be honest, he still wanted the processing fee. He had lost the bet last night, so he had no choice. Old Sue. Shinsisi walked over. How did you cook the stir-fried chicken and vegetables just now? Wang Zhong carried the two dishes over and said, one is burnt, and the other is yellow. Even my stir-fried chicken is better than yours. It was a blatant provocation. Shinsisi felt a headache coming on. She originally wanted to be more tactful, but she did not expect Zhao Xiaodong to be so bold. Old Sue was unhappy. He said to Wang Zhong, all right, you're just a waiter. How dare you criticize me? Old Sue, we're just telling the truth. Just now the customers had some complaints. What's wrong with this dish? Shinsisi asked with a frown. Lady boss, today's fire isn't too big. Look at the firewood. It's a little wet. Different flames will cook different things. Yes, that's the reason. Shinsisi had been in this business for many years. How could she be so easily fooled by Old Sue? Old Sue, the customers have a lot of complaints about today's dish. Make 2 new dishes. Please be more serious. Her attitude was more or less begging him. Unfortunately, Old Sue was very unhappy when he heard that. Lady boss, when have I, Old Sue, not been serious? You're making me feel bad. Once I'm in a bad mood, I won't be able to cook well. This was a blatant threat. Old Sue knew it. Anyway, he was the only chef. What could they do? Shinsisi was very angry, but so what? Her 2 sons were also fuming. However, there were so many customers waiting outside. If they angered Old Sue and this guy really quit, they would be the ones to suffer a great loss. Seeing that Shinsisi and his 2 sons were silent, Old Sue could not help but feel happy. What's wrong? You're still silent because of my words. However, at this time, Wang Zhong walked straight to the stove. Hey, what are you doing? Old Sue said angrily. This was his personal seat. How dare this person who served tea and water casually touch his things? Wang Zhong did not even turn his head. Lady boss, you don't have to hire a chef like this. He's just blocking your business. Let me cook. You'll know if it's good or not when you try it later. For a moment, everyone was stunned on the spot. A glimmer of hope rose in Shinsisi's heart. Zhao Xiaodong did not seem like someone with a brain problem. He was so confident. Could it be that he really knew how to cook? Old Sue had a look of disbelief. He had been a chef for a long time. This guy was not even 20 years old. But he actually wanted to cook for himself. It was a joke. Lady boss, hurry up and chase him out. Otherwise, I don't want to work here anymore. Old Sue said coldly. Shinsisi frowned. Although Zhao Xiaodong was young, he didn't look like he was faking it. Lady boss, if you don't chase him out, I'm leaving. Seeing that Wang Zhong had already put the oil in the pot, Old Sue said sternly, Old Sue, you can talk after this dish is done. Wang Zhong sneered and picked up the oil pot easily. Sizzle! The oil began to jump in the pot. Then, Wang Zhong put in the ginger slices and skillfully threw the chicken into the pot. Boom! This time the pot boiled instantly. Wang Zhong's movements were too skillful. It did not look fake at all. This Zhao Xiaodong really knew how to cook. As the saying goes, the market depends on the skill, while the experts watch the show. With this, Shinsisi concluded that Wang Zhong really knew how to cook. Old Sue's expression changed. This kid really knew how to cook. Soon, a bowl of fried chicken cubes was out of the pot. Some colorful side dishes were sprinkled on it. It not only looked and smelled good, but it also smelled good. Try it, Wang Zhong said calmly. Old Sue immediately reached out and put a piece of chicken into the pot. Shinsisi and Shirwangli did the same. They each ate a piece of chicken. Chapter 179. Old Sue's expression changed as soon as he tasted it. It was delicious. The chicken was crispy on the outside and tender on the inside. And it tasted just right. Oh my God, how could it be so delicious? Shinsisi's eyes lit up. She made up her mind. Well, I'll continue cooking. Don't worry, lady boss. I'll cook well. Old Sue did not dare to say anything. He was afraid that Shen Sisi would fire him. His attitude immediately changed. Unfortunately, Shen Sisi did not care about him. "Leave Old Su," Shen Sisi said. "Lady boss." Old Su was stunned. "Old Su, you've been working for me for so long. You should know how good the food you've been cooking. Besides, you deliberately went on strike last time and caused me to lose a lot of money. You even asked me to increase your salary. I'm not going to serve you anymore." Shen Sisi said coldly. Without any leverage, Shen Sisi regained her domineering demeanor as the lady boss. "Shen Sisi, are you kicking me to the curb? I've been working for you for so many years." Old Su roared. "So what? I've had enough. There's no use for you to stay here. I won't pay you a single cent." All right. I'll leave. But I've worked hard, right? I want compensation. Give me 10 taels of silver, and I'll leave immediately," Old Su shouted. "Old Su, are you retarded? Why should I give you money?" Shi Wangli, the eldest son, stood out and shouted. "Why? Do you want to fight?" Old Su glared at him. He was the strongest among them. If they were to fight, he would beat up Zhao Xiaodong immediately. It would be best if he could not stand up. Then they would see who would be the one to cook. With that thought in mind, he reached out to grab Wang Zhong's clothes. He had a death wish. Wang Zhong's gaze turned cold, and he kicked him. Wang Zhong did not use any strength in this kick, but he did use a little of his strength. Bang! Old Su fell to the ground. He was dizzy from the fall. You, how dare you hit me?" Old Su mumbled. "If you cause trouble again, I'll break your legs," Wang Zhong said coldly. "All right." Old Su got up and looked at Shi Wangli, Shi Lin, and the others who were glaring at him. He said coldly, "Fine, I'm useless now, so you're chasing me away. Fine. But do you think I'm so easy to bully? Just you wait." In the end, Old Su left. After he left, Shen Sisi said worriedly, "From the looks of it, Old Su doesn't seem to want to let the matter rest. Mother, don't worry. If he dares to cause trouble, we won't let him off." Shi Wangli shouted. "Okay." Seeing how obedient her son was, Shen Sisi smiled in relief. "Bring the dishes up." "All right, lady boss, what other dishes do you have? I'll prepare them all." As Wang Zhong spoke, he swiftly poured all the vegetables into the wok and began to stir-fry them. Soon, all the dishes were prepared. Not long after, Shen Sisi came back and said in surprise, "Xiaodong, that's great. Landlord Li just told his guests that your cooking is delicious. Is that so?" Wang Zhong smiled faintly. He wasn't surprised at all. After all, not only had he cooked in the past, but he had also watched Zhao Dahai cook in this life. Even a fool could learn it. "No matter what, I made them angry just now. I'll make 2 more side dishes. Later, you can get someone to bring them over and say that we're apologizing," Wang Zhong said. "Okay, that's not a bad idea." Shen Sisi's heart skipped a beat. She felt that Wang Zhong was quite considerate. Soon, Wang Zhong cooked 2 bowls of side dishes and got someone to bring them over. At the end, he also specially prepared a small dessert for everyone. Although it was called a small dessert, it was actually a sweet dessert. In this day and age, many people like to eat sweet desserts with some dates in them. This bowl wasn't expensive, but it was enough to make people happy. Wang Zhong had noticed this before. In this world, there were no desserts after meals in the restaurants. By making this dessert, not only could it make people's eyes light up, but it could also become a specialty of this place in the future. These desserts were personally served by Wang Zhong himself. "Dear masters, these are the new desserts in this restaurant. They're free," Wang Zhong said. "Free again." The customers were surprised. As the saying went, if you eat something, you'll be blinded by it. After eating these free desserts, the customers' attitudes became much better. "Hey, little brother, you're too polite," the person who had criticized Wang Zhong earlier said. "This is what I should do. I'm just learning from Landlord Li. When people know that they're wrong, they have to change. What happened just now was indeed our fault. I'm sorry." "Haha, don't say that. You're too polite." Landlord Li was in a good mood and was full of smiles. After all, he had gained face in front of his friends. Anyone would be happy. Then, he threw some silver taels and said, "Young man, you're good. This is your reward." Wang Zhong took the silver taels and said, Thank you, Landlord Li. I hope that Landlord Li will be rich and prosperous in the future. A lot of praise was thrown out. Then, Wang Zhong tactfully left. A day of life was finally over. In the evening, Shen Sisi asked Wang Zhong to cook a few dishes, and everyone ate together. Xiao Dong, I didn't expect you to really know how to cook. I've long disliked old Su. He makes himself look like a boss every day. Pooh. A waiter scolded angrily. Isn't that so? The lady boss is so nice, but he's still not satisfied. Fortunately, you're here. You don't have to suffer from his vexation anymore. Everyone in the restaurant ate happily, especially Shen Sisi. Her gloomy mood for many days was swept away. Xiao Dong, stay here forever. If you work hard, our family will treat you well. Shen Sisi thought for a moment, and felt that it was not good to keep Wang Zhong. She continued, by the way, I have a niece. She's about 17 years old. Recently, her parents have been asking me to help find a suitable husband. I think you're a good choice. If you want, I'll arrange it for you another day. In this day and age, a man with a good cooking skill was very popular. Shen Sisi was very satisfied with Wang Zhong's eloquence. Wang Zhong smiled. Let's talk about this later. Our business is not stable yet. Okay. Shen Sisi nodded in satisfaction. Zhao Xiaodong did not lose his mind because of happiness. He had a good temperament. In the future, I'll pay you according to old Su's salary. What do you think? Shen Sisi probed. Okay. It did not matter whether he was paid. What was important was that this place was close to the Immortal Mountain. At night, in order to keep Wang Zhong, Shen Sisi specially vacated a storeroom for Wang Zhong to stay. Lying at home and looking at the full moon in the sky, Wang Zhong could not fall asleep. After Ziru went to the Immortal Mountain, he had completely lost contact with her. He really did not know where she went. Since he could not figure it out, he decided not to think about it. Anyway, for now he could only improve his strength. Once he became stronger, he would find out the news one day. For now, he had to wait for the right time. Chapter 180. At night, Wang Zhong was alone in his room. He lit a candle and cultivated the qi refinement technique that he had obtained from Gao Jinren. He discovered that although he had already completely mastered this qi refinement technique, his qi was constantly increasing if he cultivated according to the method written in it. This feeling was very comfortable, as if he had truly entered a state of emptiness. A gentle breeze blew in the night. Wang Zhong's breathing also rose and fell with this breeze. Wang Zhong, who had been motionless, suddenly opened his eyes and punched out. The wind from the punch flew out and blew straight to the door, opening it. Seeing this scene, Wang Zhong smiled slightly. His control of his qi had improved by another level. This was due to his talent, and also due to his diligent study and training in every lifetime. The following days passed uneventfully. 3 days later, the tavern finally became a little less busy. Wang Zhong found Shen Sisi. Lady boss, I have something to do outside. Are you going to the Immortal Mountain again? Shen Sisi knew that Wang Zhong could stay here, but she still wanted to find the person who had gone up the Immortal Mountain. That's right. I'm mainly going to the entrance to ask some questions. Shen Sisi said. Yes, I'm a local. In the past, the disciples guarding the entrance also came to eat at my place. I've given them a discount, so I'll go with you. That's great. Thank you, lady boss. It's nothing. Let's go. He followed Shen Sisi to the Immortal Mountain. Xiao Dong, do you have to find your friend? I'm telling you, you might not see him in the future, Shen Sisi reminded him. Lady boss, is there any way to go up the mountain? There are so many disciples on the Immortal Mountain. Don't tell me that the masters went out to find them themselves? Wang Zhong asked curiously. There is, but Shen Sisi sighed. Every year, the Immortal Mountain holds a competition to recruit disciples. However, those people are all cultivators and are very strong. Competition of the Immortal Mountain. Wang Zhong mumbled. If there was really a competition, he would have a chance to ascend the mountain. The two of them arrived at the foot of the Immortal Mountain. Just like last time, the disciple guarding the gate stood guard at the entrance. Shen Sisi walked over. Little brother. Upon seeing Shen Sisi, The gatekeeper nodded politely. Hello, Boss Shen. Is there anything I can help you with? As he spoke, he glanced at Wang Zhong behind him. He seemed to know what was going on. This is my distant cousin, a good friend of his. This time, he entered the Immortal Mountain, but there has been no news, so he asked me to come over and ask. Shen Sisi smiled. The disciple said politely, yes, this friend came to ask about it last time. I think her name is Ziru. Ziru a girl? Shen Sisi looked at Wang Zhong with pity in her eyes. She had seen this kind of thing many times. The two of them were childhood sweethearts, but the girls were chosen by the Immortal Mountain. In order to cultivate immortal arts and obtain good opportunities in the Immortal Mountain, some of the girls turned to cater to their senior brothers. At this moment, she also believed that Wang Zhong had encountered such a thing. Yes, her name is Ziru. Senior brother, have you heard of her? Wang Zhong asked. The gatekeeper continued to shake his head. Friend, I'm not deliberately making things difficult for you, but I really haven't heard of anyone called Ziru. Could it be that there are too many disciples in the sect, so you haven't heard of her? Shen Sisi asked. That's possible, but I'm not the one saying this. But if that person really promised to meet you, then he would usually come out. The sect wouldn't lock up the disciples, don't you think so? Wang Zhong nodded slightly. Shen Sisi sighed. The current situation was self-evident. Ziru must have refused to meet them, because she wanted to distance herself from Zhao Xiaodong. Poor Zhao Xiaodong. Senior brother, when will the competition be held on the Immortal Mountain? Wang Zhong asked. Everyone knows about this. It's usually around the end of the year. They prepare in advance. Alright, thanks a lot. After leaving, Wang Zhong didn't say a word. Shen Sisi didn't know what to say either. Xiaodong, don't worry. Maybe things will take a turn for the better in the future. Shen Sisi comforted Wang Zhong. In fact, Wang Zhong was in a very good mood. He was definitely going to participate in the Immortal Mountain competition. Xiaodong, why aren't you saying anything? Shen Sisi asked when she saw that Wang Zhong's expression had suddenly turned sour. Someone's here to cause trouble. Wang Zhong looked at the entrance of the inn and saw Old Su and 3 sloppy burly men blocking the entrance. Don't worry, this woman doesn't have a man. She only has 2 young sons. They're easy to deal with. Old Su said respectfully to the men behind him. That woman really owes you money. The leader of the burly men pursed his lips. Old Su, don't spout nonsense. How would I dare? Master Zhou, I've been working here conscientiously for so many years. She chased me out just like that, and didn't even pay me. Tell me, is this something a human would do? Don't worry, they'll pay the money I owe you. That's good. The men nodded. Then, Old Su saw Wang Zhong and Shen Sisi walking over. Old Su's gloomy voice rang out. Hee lady boss, how have you been? Old Su, is there anything else? Shen Sisi was a little flustered when she saw the situation in front of her. We haven't settled the score between us yet. Why do you think I'm here? Old Su snorted and pointed at the burly man behind him smugly. This is Master Zhou, the boss of the Great Ming Gambling Den. Gambling Den? Shen Sisi's expression changed. She had lived here for so many years. Naturally, she knew that those who could open a business like Gambling Den were either rich or respectable. They were also very powerful and had many henchmen. Those who provoked them generally didn't have it easy. It's like this. Old Su said that you owe him money, and Old Su owes me money. Do you understand now? This is very easy to understand. Pay up, and we'll leave immediately. Otherwise, Zhou Yi sneered. Don't blame me for being rude. Shen Sisi's face turned pale. What nonsense are you talking about? I don't owe you money. Lady boss, you didn't pay me my salary. Old Su snorted coldly. It's fine. All right, I don't want to listen to your nonsense. You do owe me money. Hurry up and pay up. Zhou Yi's words were overbearing and didn't leave any room for negotiation. At this moment, Shi Wangli, Shi Lin, and the others rushed out. Seeing this scene, the two of them were furious. However, the people in front of them were too powerful. They were all hooligans. How could they deal with them? Wang Zhong furrowed his brows. This Old Su had really stirred up a lot of trouble. To be honest, these people were easy to deal with. However, after dealing with them, there would be endless trouble in the future. Therefore, after thinking about it, Wang Zhong felt that only by completely defeating them could they avoid trouble. Therefore he walked over. Joey, right? How about this, let's go to the backyard and have a chat. Haha, what do you want? Joey was amused. He thought that this little guy was tired of living. Chapter 181. Joey was naturally not afraid of Wang Zhong. He immediately nodded and said, Okay, let's go to the backyard. The group of people walked to the backyard. Xiao Dongyu. Wang Zhong interrupted Shen Sisi and said, Lady boss, don't be anxious. Watch me. What was done could not be undone. Shen Sisi could not change anything. She could only follow Wang Zhong to the backyard. As soon as they arrived, Joey pointed at Wang Zhong and shouted, Kid, where's the money? Wang Zhong said, I asked you to come here. Did you think I was going to give you money? Haha, why? Are you looking for trouble? Joey was amused. You're still young, aren't you? Believe it or not, I'll beat you up until you have to walk around on your knees on the street outside. Ha 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 ha. The group of people around them laughed. At this time, even if it was not funny, they had to laugh. After all, these words were said by their boss. Wang Zhong said, Okay, if you want money, you'll have to beat me. Wang Zhong said as he walked over. Before Joey could react, Wang Zhong had already punched out. There was nothing fancy about this punch, because it was unnecessary. These people in front of him were just ordinary people after all. Wang Zhong did not take this to heart at all. Joey was directly sent flying. When he landed on the ground, he touched his nose and immediately turned pale with fright. My nose. Joey's nose was crooked to one side. It was actually crooked. Beat him up. Joey was flustered and exasperated. The sharp pain made him lose his mind. He did not even consider why he was suddenly sent flying. A few of his underlings also rushed out in a hot-headed manner. Wang Zhong activated the energy in his hand. Bang! The scene just now happened again. This time he was ruthless. The underlings were all beaten to the ground and vomited blood. Shen Sisi and her two sons were stunned. The battle was over. There was only one possibility. Zhao Xiaodong was a cultivator. He was not an ordinary person. Kacha. Wang Zhong stepped on Zhou Yi's foot and said coldly, I want to cripple your legs. What do you think? Big brother, don't. I apologize. Zhou Yi came to his senses. He immediately realized that he was dealing with a cultivator. Damn old Sue. He actually said that this guy was just a waiter. This person was clearly a cultivator. Because they were close to the immortal mountain, the people here all understood the strength of cultivators. Wang Zhong pondered for a moment and said, Compensate me for my mental trauma. Zhou Yi was stunned and his face turned bitter. He didn't expect that not only would he not get the money, he would also have to pay a sum of money. But at this time, he had no choice but to admit defeat. In the end, Shen Sisi casually asked Zhou Yi to pay a few dozen taels of silver, and the matter was settled. To deal with these people, Wang Zhong was just casually helping them. So he didn't care much about how much money he had to pay. And on this day, he officially took root here. Spring went and winter came. Wang Zhong lived here. In the blink of an eye, it was the end of the year. In order not to worry his family, Wang Zhong took some time out of the city to find Auntie Zhu. He instructed her to go back and inform Ziru's family and his family, so that they could rest assured. Then he began to prepare for the competition of the Immortal Mountain. That's right. The Immortal Mountain posted a notice, saying that the annual competition of the Immortal Mountain had begun again. Sure, Wangli, when you stir fry, you have to cook evenly. Look at me. On this day, as usual, Wang Zhong taught Sure Wangli how to cook while stir-frying. He would eventually leave this place, and this family could be considered to be fated with him. Therefore, in order to not let this family fall into trouble after he left, Wang Zhong taught them how to stir-fry. The two brothers, Sure Wangli and Sure Lin, learned very seriously. In just 3 months, they had learned almost everything, especially Sure Lin, who was almost done with his apprenticeship. Most of the time, he had to stir-fry himself. In these few days, more and more people came to the Immortal City. Wang Zhong knew that these people were going to the Immortal Mountain to participate in the competition. Xiao Dong, are you sure you want to go? On this day, Shen Sisi looked at Wang Zhong and asked. Yes. Wang Zhong nodded his head. He had already prepared his things and would head to the registration area in a while. Master, after you go, if you can't do it, you must come back, Sherlin said excitedly. If Master is so powerful, why can't I do it? Sher Wangli scolded. Then he took a package and said, Master, here's some food. Keep it well. If you encounter any trouble, you must tell us. Looking at his two little disciples, Wang Zhong was very gratified. All right, I'll go first. Everyone, let's go. With that, Wang Zhong walked out. This time, he was going to participate in the competition of the Immortal Mountain. Every competition here was unusually grand. Not only were there many people, but he could also see many of the higher-ups of the Immortal Mountain. I wonder where Ziru went. Wang Zhong frowned. After living here for almost a year, he often went to look for the gatekeeper. However, without exception, he did not know who Ziru was. In fact, he had never even heard of her before. Looking at that disciple, he did not seem to be lying. Therefore, Wang Zhong was very puzzled. When he arrived at the foot of the Immortal Mountain, there was already a sea of people. There were quite a few long lines here. Wang Zhong looked around and stood at a spot where the line seemed to be shorter. Before coming, Wang Zhong heard that the annual competition of the Immortal Mountain was not really for people to compete in martial arts. First, it was the spirit root test. The spirit root test here was not to test the quality of one's spirit root. Instead, the lower the spirit root, the more attention one would be paid. The Immortal Mountain would not accept anyone with a spirit root higher than 4th grade. This eliminated most people. Of course, the lower the spirit root, it did not mean that one would be stronger. This was because there was also a problem of comprehension. Some people had a high spirit root, but their comprehension was strong, and they could become stronger. Therefore, there was a follow-up competition. Wang Zhong signed up, and soon arrived at the place where the spirit root test was held. However, there was no black jar for the spirit root test here. Instead, a few elders would directly press their hands on the forehead. Soon, the spirit root level would be displayed on the forehead. Spirit root level 2. When the spirit root level was displayed on Wang Zhong's forehead, the elder in front of him nodded slightly. He was quite satisfied. Wang Zhong was silent. It seemed that even with the methods here, they could not detect that his spirit root was level 1. That spirit root ash had concealed it quite well for him. As the people with spirit root level 4 and below were selected, they were brought into the Immortal Mountain. Wang Zhong took a look. There were about 50 people. Spirit root level 1. In an instant, exclamations could be heard from the distance. It was a young man. At this moment, his forehead showed the number 1, which proved that his spirit root was only level 1. In an instant, the elders of the Immortal Mountain were all excited. Haha, Lin Yu, you took in a girl not long ago. Let me have this guy called Tang Qi. The lady called Lin Yu shook her head helplessly. You guys can fight for him. But Lin Yu, is that girl still not awake? Not yet. Her body constitution is extremely special. The few of them nodded slightly. This time, there was only one person called Tang Qi who had spirit root level 1. There were dozens of people with spirit root level 2, including Wang Zhong. This batch of people were arranged to stand behind Tang Qi. The rest were those with spirit root level 3 and 4. They stood behind Wang Zhong's group. It was already afternoon. The rest of the people who were not selected had been driven out. In the huge square, there was only a group of people from the Immortal Mountain, and Wang Zhong's group of new disciples left. At this moment, a beautiful lady in her 40s walked over. Chapter 182. Although this beautiful woman looked a little old, her skin and hair were well maintained. Hello everyone, I am your examiner Nalan. The beautiful woman shouted. So it's Senior Nalan. The leader Tang Qi cupped his hands. Because Tang Qi's talent was not ordinary, his freedom was not restricted. The seniors were also willing to give him face. Bootlicker. Beside Wang Zhong, a skinny guy muttered. You know him? Wang Zhong greeted softly. He needed to know more people to understand the current situation. Tang Chi and I are from the same town. The skinny guy muttered. What about you? I live around here. That's good. You live here and can absorb the chi below the immortal mountain. You must be very powerful, right? The skinny guy was very excited. He thought he had found someone powerful. Wang Zhong smiled faintly and didn't say anything. At this time, it was necessary to act cool. That about Senior Nalan, is it true? The skinny guy suddenly asked. What is it about Senior Nalan? Wang Zhong was suspicious. Are you playing dumb? It's just that she is already 80 years old. You live here, so you should know, right? What? Wang Zhong was stunned. His eyes widened. But soon, Wang Zhong returned to normal. After all, he said he lived here. He had to be calm. You really don't know? The skinny guy was curious. I usually practice martial arts at home. I rarely ask about the outside world. Wang Zhong explained. Oh, no wonder. The skinny guy looked as if he was used to it. Now that we are in the immortal mountain together, let's be friends. What's your name? Zhao Xiaodong, what about you? Guli grinned. But why is she still so well maintained at 80 years old? Wang Zhong was very puzzled. Just as Guli was about to speak, Nalan had already walked over. Guli quickly shut his mouth and looked forward with a normal expression. Wang Zhong immediately stopped talking. Nalan looked at the quiet crowd and shouted, I will now talk about the next competition. Later, we will go to the Evil Beast Forest. There is a place there that is the training ground of our immortal mountain. You will go there to train. There are many evil beasts there. Later, I will teach you a tyrant fist art. After you learn it well, you will go there. Whoever kills more evil beasts will be ranked higher. In this assessment, the top 10 will be selected. The prize for the first place is Spiritual Root Elixir. As the Spiritual Root Elixir was mentioned, some of the people who had heard of this thing began to exclaim in surprise. On the other hand, some of the weaker ones revealed solemn or depressed expressions because they knew in their hearts that they had no fate with the first place reward. Therefore, the higher the reward, the more depressed they were. The eyes of those who thought they were strong lit up, and they rubbed their palms together. It felt as if the spiritual root elixir was prepared for them. Wang Zhong furrowed his eyebrows. He realized that because he lived in the Hui dynasty, he didn't know anything about cultivation. It seems that I have to find a chance to learn more about these medicinal herbs. Also, why is Nalan able to live for 80 years, but seems to be a 40-year-old woman? Could it be because of cultivation? The more Wang Zhong thought about it, the more likely it seemed. Previously, it was said that the state preceptor had lived for hundreds of years because of cultivation. It was not impossible for Nalan to live for 80 years. Nalan did not give the people below much time to be excited. She continued, the second and third place of this assessment will receive a bottle of spiritual root elixir. The 4th to 10th place will each be rewarded with a spiritual root elixir. Wang Zhong frowned. All the rewards here were related to spiritual roots. It seemed that it was a medicine that could make their spiritual roots stronger. From this, it could be seen that spiritual roots were really important. I am already a grade 1 spiritual root talent. If I can get the spiritual root elixir, I will definitely be able to reach a higher level. Wang Zhong could not help but look at Tang Chi, who was sitting at the head of the table. This person was a formidable opponent of his. At this moment, the disciples below were extremely excited when they heard the rewards. Perhaps Nalan knew that the candidates did not understand the rewards. She smiled gently and began to explain the effects of the rewards. Just as Wang Zhong had guessed, these things could make the spiritual root talent erupt more completely, stimulate one's strength, and soar to the sky. The spiritual root elixir was highly concentrated. The spiritual root elixir was much more diluted. The spiritual root elixir was much less effective. However, no matter how little the effect of the elixir was, it was still extremely precious to the candidates. This could be seen from the expressions of the candidates. All right, everyone, follow me. Nalan nodded, and then took the lead to walk forward. There were also a few elders with her, protecting this group of examinees as they walked. To Wang Zhong's surprise, they did not leave the city this time. Instead, they walked up the mountain, Is there an evil creature forest on the mountain? Wang Zhong was surprised. Guli was surprised. You really don't know. This mountain is a mountain range. I heard that the other side of the mountain range is connected to the evil creature forest, which is specially used for the disciples to train. Wang Zhong was secretly shocked. This project seemed to be really big. Or could it be that this place was man-made like the evil creature forest? Even Wang Zhong himself didn't dare to believe such a thought. The path up the mountain was not very rugged. After passing through a layer of white fog, they finally reached the middle of the mountain. This place was built against the mountain. There were no tall buildings, only flowers and trees. This place looked peaceful and peaceful. It was really a place of immortals. After the group walked for the time it took to brew a cup of tea, the sun in the sky had already started to set. Wang Zhong estimated that if they continued walking like this, the sky would turn dark soon. Wang Zhong observed the place as he walked. Overall, this place was really as beautiful as a paradise. At the top of the mountain in the distance, he could vaguely see some platforms and pavilions. Unfortunately, in such a big sect, he did not see a single disciple. Not far away, Tang Qi and a few elders were walking side by side, talking and laughing. They seemed to be very happy. Wang Zhong looked at a middle-aged man beside him. After thinking for a while, he asked, "Elder, why don't I see other disciples here?" Originally, Wang Zhong thought that these elders were very arrogant and would not be easy to answer. He was prepared to be rejected. Unexpectedly, this person did not mind. He smiled and said, "That's because these disciples are in the disciples' courtyard. You don't think that this mountain belongs to our sect, do you? So it's like this." Seeing that this person was easy to talk to, Wang Zhong continued, "Elder, is there a disciple called Ziru here? She is my good friend, and came here before me." "Ziru?" This person frowned. "Never heard of her. Never heard of her." Wang Zhong did not know what to say. He spent so much effort to come here. Other than for his own cultivation, part of the reason was to find Ziru. But not only the disciples, even the elders had not heard of Ziru. Then, where did Ziru go? This did not make sense. The road became narrower and narrower. Luckily, the flowers and plants on the mountain were all trimmed. It was not too troublesome to walk. Soon they came to a row of small houses. There were words written on the door of the house. "Restricted area for evil beings. Unauthorized people are not allowed to enter." "We're here." Elder Nalen nodded and turned his head. "I will give each of you a talisman. If anyone can't hold on, break the talisman. It will protect your safety. But if you break it, it means that you have failed. You must come out, understand?" Chapter 183. Got it. Everyone was not stupid. They understood what Elder Nalen meant. "Okay, go." Following the order, everyone entered in a single file. When they passed by Elder Nalen, they took the talisman from Elder Nalen and walked inside. This talisman was obviously a protective talisman. Wang Zhong observed it for a while. He thought that the protective talisman produced here would be stronger than his. However, after a closer look, it was similar to his protective talisman. It seems that with my strength, my talisman technique is almost the same as these elders. Wang Zhong was secretly happy. He guessed that it was probably because he had learned it since he was a child. In addition, this was the inheritance of the Gao family. After all, this was the inheritance of an immortal. After entering the room, there was nothing in it. "Xiaodong, let's move together later," Guli said at this time. Wang Zhong glanced at this person and nodded slightly. At this time, it was good to make more friends. After passing through the room, a gloomy and cold aura directly hit their faces. Is this the evil creature forest? Rumor has it that there are many evil creatures in the evil creature forest. I wonder how they came to be. Someone in the crowd said. Wang Zhong's gaze did not change. He was a person who had experienced the evil creature forest. Therefore, he felt that this place was not the same as the evil creature forest. If he had to say, the aura here was much weaker than the real evil creature forest. Therefore, he guessed that this was an imitation of the evil creature forest. Senior brother Tang Qi is really powerful. He actually went deep into the forest alone. Someone on the side was shocked. Aren't you talking nonsense? Senior brother Tang Chi has already entered the Chi expansion realm in his hometown. With such strength, what is there to be afraid of? Someone said jokingly. As everyone entered the forest, they found that there were no evil creatures in the periphery of the forest. Therefore, if they wanted to kill more evil creatures, they needed to go deep into the forest to get better results. Wang Zhong also noticed this and frowned. I will go in first. This sentence was actually said to Guli. Guli gritted his teeth and chased after him. He had the protective talisman on him. What was there to be afraid of? Chi. 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 Tang Chi, who was at the front, unleashed his chi. In just a short while, he had already dealt with 2 evil creatures. At this time, he noticed Wang Zhong chasing after him and frowned. He didn't like being followed, but he wasn't the domineering type. He shook his head and continued to go deeper. However, what made him unhappy was that the person behind him was still following him. Are you looking for death? Continue deeper. Even I am not easy to deal with. Are you looking for death by going deeper? Tang Chi could not help but question. He thought that the person who followed him was trying to show off. There were actually a lot of people like this. Some of them were very strong among their peers, since they were young, and developed a domineering personality. Therefore, they considered everyone beneath them, and loved to be in the limelight. This was probably the case this time. The person who came was Wang Zhong. Hearing Tang Chi's question, Wang Zhong turned around. I know what I'm doing. Ah, what a joke. Tang Chi shook his head. This person overestimated himself. Forget it then. Since he was looking for death, how could he stop him? At this moment, an evil being attacked. It was a female ghost. Her face was full of pus and she pounced. Die! Tang Chi snorted and slapped. In here, weapons were not allowed. Therefore, Wang Zhong did not use his bronze sword. He clenched his fist and 2 evil beings attacked. 8 trigrams palm. Wang Zhong slapped with both his palms. At this moment, Guli did not come over. He had no choice. The deeper he went, the stronger the evil beings were. There was no way he could defeat them. Therefore, he cursed under his breath. This guy is too strong. He runs so fast alone. I can't afford to offend him. Wang Zhong did not stop. Instead, he attacked as he walked. Very quickly, Tang Chi, who was behind him, disappeared as well. This was not Wang Zhong deliberately acting tough. It was because he had been cultivating since he was young, and knew a lot of martial arts. Therefore, in terms of strength, it was easy for him to deal with these evil beings. In order to get the best spiritual root elixir, he had to continue moving forward. The deeper he went, the more evil beings there were. Soon, dozens of evil beings with black fog pounced on him. These evil beings were stronger than the ones before. When they pounced on him, the black fog covered the sky and the earth. They were ferocious. Wang Zhong did not change his expression. He just waited for the evil beings to pounce on him. Roar! These evil beings looked ferocious. There were men and women. These evil beings were transformed from these people after they died. In the end, they became evil beings, and were imprisoned here. This training ground was a little cruel. Wang Zhong thought to himself. However, he had no choice. This world was cruel. 8 trigrams palm. He slapped with his palm. This time his movements were much faster. The evil beings were scattered the moment they came into contact with him. While Wang Zhong was dealing with the evil beings, more than a dozen people were injured by them in the blink of an eye. Those who were fast enough crushed the protective talisman immediately, and retreated in a hurry. They rested outside with pale faces. Of course, there were those who were unlucky. They did not even have time to crush the talisman. Then their chests were pierced by the evil beings and they died tragically. After a long time, these people would also turn into evil beings and become part of this place. The path of cultivation had never been smooth sailing. Guli was lucky. The evil beings behind Tang Chi were weaker. Hence, he was able to fight them with ease. As for Tang Chi, there was no need to talk about him. He had many tricks up his sleeves as well. He had already killed 30 evil beings, since he was in the Chi Force expansion realm. However, there were times when a person was exhausted. After killing 30 evil beings, He had used up half of his energy. At this moment, he could not help but look at the dark depths of the forest. He frowned. That guy, he went so far and he could still persevere? No, impossible. He only has a level 2 spiritual root. Now that I can't go on, how can he? He must have died in there, right? Tang Chi shook his head. Another brat who died for the sake of being in the limelight. He overestimated himself. Then he stopped thinking about it and continued to attack. At the periphery, the few elders at the entrance of the immortal mountain saw the pale-faced disciples coming out. They immediately arranged for people to treat them. Nalan, this batch of disciples doesn't seem to be able to do it. Only Tang Chi can. A white-bearded elder smiled. That's not bad. There have been continuous battles at the border, and many people have died. A middle-aged man said. Yes. The leader of Ming country said that after the competition, we have to go there to solve the crisis. Otherwise, too many people will die and it will threaten us. Nalan said. Sigh, the people are in a terrible situation. We have to hurry. It's a pity that we still can't find the opportunity to become an immortal. Can one really become an immortal in this world? Nalan sighed. Everyone stopped talking. The opportunity to become an immortal was too elusive. Even someone as powerful as the leader of Ming country did not succeed. At this moment, an evil being floated over from the sky. This evil being was controlled by the elders. As an elder, he had some ability to control evil beings. The middle-aged man looked up and received the evil being's memory. There's something strange in this batch of disciples. What's wrong? Nalan asked. There's a brat called Zhao Xiaodong. He went deeper than Tang Chi and has already reached the 100 Ghosts training ground. 100 Ghosts training ground? Is this guy looking for death? Someone was shocked. There's nothing he can do about it. He only has a level 2 spiritual root. He overestimates himself. Chapter 184. The 100 Ghosts training ground was the most dangerous place in this small evil creature forest. Not only were there many evil creatures here, there were 100 of them. Among them, the strength of these 100 ghosts was incomparable to the ordinary evil creatures in the periphery. In the past, there were people who had entered this place and many of them died. Although there were people who survived, they were still rare existences. And all of these people, without exception, became the big shots of a region. Suddenly, the elder who collected the evil creature's memory narrowed his eyes. Interesting. What's wrong? Nalan was curious. This Zhao Xiaodong is not simple. He is not dead yet, and has killed more than 30 evil creatures. They are all fierce generals in the 100 Ghosts training ground. To be able to kill more than 30 evil creatures, his talent is not inferior to Tang Chi's. Nalan said. The surrounding people nodded slightly and agreed with Nalan's words. Tang Chi was indeed strong, but it was only in the periphery of the 100 Ghosts training ground. This meant that Tang Chi knew that with his strength, he couldn't go any deeper. Use your evil creature to guard Zhao Xiaodong. He is a talent. If there is any danger, save him in time. Nalan thought and ordered. Yes, I understand, Elder Nalan. The middle-aged man nodded and put his hands together. He muttered, Spirits of the heavens and earth, demons and ghosts, go quickly. After saying that, the female ghost floating in the air widened her eyes and floated toward the evil creature forest again. This ghost was going to protect Wang Zhong. Of course, Wang Zhong did not know this. At this moment, he was still killing the evil creatures with all his strength. So far, he had killed a lot of evil creatures. He estimated that if not 50, there were at least 40 of them. Moreover, the evil creatures here were much stronger than those in the periphery. Even so, he was still able to kill them with ease. At this moment, Wang Zhong noticed that an evil creature in the air was staring at him. This thing might be controlled by someone. Otherwise, it would not be so indifferent to me. Wang Zhong realized this and felt that it was better to keep a low profile. Growing up in Snow City, he knew that he could not trust anyone. Furthermore, Ziru had mysteriously gone missing here. Wang Zhong, who was initially extremely confident in the immortal mountain, realized that something was not right. The people of this world would do anything to become immortals. Could it be that there were some secrets hidden here as well? In order to get to the bottom of this, he had to keep a low profile before he became strong. At the same time, he had to hide his trump cards. Therefore, Wang Zhong deliberately slowed down his movements, looking like he was about to be overwhelmed. At the same time, he began to retreat as he fought. Not far away, Tang Qi could no longer hold on. There were too many evil beings. Even he could not hold on. Guli couldn't take it anymore. After defeating an evil being, he immediately turned his head. I can't win. Guli ran as he fled. To him, he didn't care about face at all. Running away was the way to go. However, he did not crush the protective talisman. This thing was quite precious. It was better to keep it, in case something unexpected happened in the future. There were many people running with Guli. By the time they reached the outskirts, there were no more evil beings. Guli rested for a while and looked inside. He felt that it was a pity. Acting tough will get you struck by lightning. Why did you run inside for no reason? Are you okay now? Guli shook his head inside. Even though he had just met Wang Zhong, he felt that they got along well. Also, he had a special trait. He could tell that Wang Zhong was sincere in making friends. Because of this, he dared to follow Wang Zhong inside. Sadly, there was no news of him. After so long, his corpse was probably cold. As time went on, another person walked out. Seeing who it was, everyone's expression changed. Tang Qi came out. At this moment, Tang Qi's entire body was drenched in sweat. It was obvious that Tang Qi had a hard time fighting this battle. However, the result of this battle was gratifying. He had killed a total of 86 evil beings. Among them, there were a few that were very powerful. He had to use all his effort to kill them. Looking at the looks of envy and respect, Tang Qi's lips curled into an evil smile. A group of mortals, TSK. Get out. Tang Qi's tone was calm. Don't block the way. Big brother Tang. There seems to be someone inside who hasn't come out. Someone who saw Wang Zhong enter said. Are you an idiot? Tang Qi could not help but glance at the buck-toothed man. Looking at his sorry face, he felt bored. Do you think there's someone else inside? Further in is the land of 100 ghosts. There are countless ghosts and spirits. Even I can't handle them. Now that so much time has passed, do you think there's someone else here? After listening to Tang Qi's analysis, everyone felt that it made sense. Big brother Tang, please you go first. Someone started to flatter him. Did you hear that? I told you that kid died long ago. Big brother Tang is the strongest in our group. If he goes in there, isn't he looking for death? Everyone walked out as they spoke. Guli looked at the depths of the dense forest and sighed. Zhao Xiaodong, you're the first friend I made in the Immortal Mountain. I didn't expect you to die so early. Sigh, don't worry, I'll find a chance to burn paper money for you. Sigh. Guli shook his head and walked out. Not long after everyone left, Wang Zhong's figure slowly walked out from the depths of the dense forest. He did not expend much energy at all. In fact, he felt that as he used Gao Jinren's qi refinement technique, although his energy was expended, it was also increasing crazily. This was the difference brought about by the technique. However, he knew that there was an evil being in the sky watching him. In order to prevent the elders from being shocked, he cleverly crushed the protective talisman to show that he was already at the end of his life. That little guy is out too. The middle-aged elder, who was observing the situation, heaved a sigh of relief. He's much more talented than Tang Qi. He's a talent. Nalan smiled. Bless the Immortal Mountain. I didn't expect to have two talented disciples this time. The surrounding elders also smiled but did not say anything. Elders. Tang Qi walked out and bowed to the elders. From his point of view, the competition was over, and it was about time to go back. After all, it was already very late outside. Unfortunately, Elder Nalan said to him, there's no hurry, there's still someone who hasn't come out. There's still someone else. Tang Qi's gaze froze. He originally thought that he was the last person. How could there be someone else? A trace of unhappiness rose in his heart. There was someone of the same age as him in this world, who was stronger than him? How was that possible? Although he wanted to ask, he knew that he could not speak too much nonsense. Hence, he suppressed the doubts in his heart. Chapter 185. All the disciples were sitting on the ground outside the house, recovering from the exhaustion of their bodies. This immortal mountain was indeed a land of treasures. Cultivating here was much more efficient than cultivating outside. However, as these disciples were cultivating, they were extremely puzzled. Even Tang Chi had come out. Who else could be inside? Guli looked into the house, and was secretly curious. Could it be that Zhao Xiaodong? No, he had entered the land of 100 ghosts. That place was extremely dangerous. How could it be? Then it must be someone else. Some people were afraid of dealing with evil beings, and purposely hid in places with fewer evil beings. Although they had stayed inside for a long time, after a period of time, they could not even touch 5 evil beings. That kind of person was simply wasting their time. Now almost everyone had the same thought. They were all wondering who would be so stupid as to embarrass themselves in such a place. Tang Chi squinted his eyes. He was very calm. It was very simple. Even if there was someone else inside, he must be hiding. It was not because he had killed more evil beings than him. He still had this bit of confidence. However, at this moment, the person behind the door finally walked out. When they saw Wang Zhong appear in front of them, everyone was shocked. Oh my God, didn't he go to the land of 100 ghosts? What is the land of 100 ghosts? Someone did not understand. It is the most dangerous place in there. Not many disciples can stay in there for a long time. One by one people exclaimed. At the same time, Tang Chi's face darkened. Since young, he had been the strongest among his peers. But now someone was stronger than him. How could this be? Suddenly, Tang Chi felt a deep sense of danger. He turned his head and shouted at Guli. What is his name? Previously, he saw Guli and Zhao Xiaodong together. Ah, Zhao Xiaodong. I met him when I came here. Tang Chi's face darkened, and he did not speak. Very good, very good. Seeing Wang Zhong come out, Nalan was not stingy with his praise. Greetings, elders. Wang Zhong walked over and said. Very good. Now everyone has come out. This time, 9 people have died in there. Nalan looked at the disciples and said calmly. The path of cultivation is not smooth sailing. The difficulties in the future will be thousands of times more difficult than this. You must remember, don't be arrogant, don't be impatient, but also don't belittle yourself and deny yourself. Understood. All the disciples said in unison. Because it was already very late, that night, Elder Nalan did not prepare any rewards for everyone. Instead, he went to the new disciples' courtyard and let everyone rest first. This place was obviously a temporary residence for the disciples. The facilities were simple, and other than them, there were no other disciples. 2 people shared a room. Because Wang Zhong and Guli were acquaintances, they took the initiative to stay together. That night, the 2 of them chatted a lot. From Guli's words, Wang Zhong also learned a lot about the Immortal Mountain. The Immortal Mountain's strength was unparalleled, and it protected this world. On the contrary, all the countries around the Immortal Mountain were basically plunged into misery and suffering. In order to survive, many people did not hesitate to cross the treacherous demonic forest to come to the Immortal Mountain. It could be said that the Immortal Mountain was the last base of the human race. Xiaodong, but this time you are in the limelight. You must be careful not to be hated by despicable people. Guli reminded. For example, Tang Chi. Guli's expression was serious. Although Wang Zhong could not see his face clearly, he could hear the sincerity in his tone. This person was worth making friends with. Tang Chi and I are from the same place, but I am not familiar with him. After all, you know that people are divided into different classes. Whether it is talent or family background, I am not as good as him. Naturally, we can't play together. Wang Zhong nodded. It was rare for Guli to say this. Is Tang Chi not easy to talk to? Wang Zhong asked. Not only is he not easy to talk to, he is also very competitive. When his family was holding a family competition, he broke the legs of a disciple from the same family, because he said something behind his back. Wang Zhong nodded his head as he raised his guard against Tang Qi. The night passed just like that. The next morning the weather was clear. After everyone woke up, a disciple led them to the training ground in the center of the Immortal Mountain. When they arrived, they realized that this was the base camp of the Immortal Mountain. The entire training ground was at the top of the mountain. It was shrouded in immortal fog, and the weather was good. The environment was beautiful. It was really a good place to cultivate. When Wang Zhong and Tang Qi walked side by side to the training ground, everyone looked over. Their eyes were filled with jealousy, shock, and admiration. Zhao Xiaodong was famous. He was even more powerful than Tang Qi. Moreover, his spiritual roots were only at level 2. Who could compare to him? One could imagine how powerful Wang Zhong would be in the Immortal Mountain in the future. Congratulations. This time, you will definitely get the spiritual root elixir, Tang Qi said in an unhappy tone. He thanks a lot, Wang Zhong said indifferently. But don't be happy for too long. I will catch up to you sooner or later, Tang Qi said coldly. Wang Zhong shrugged and did not say anything. Then Wang Zhong started to look around. In the huge training ground, there were senior disciples everywhere. This was easy to see. He looked around a few times, but still could not find Ziru. Where did she go? Then he looked at the stage in front of him. According to the conversations of the disciples, Wang Zhong knew that those people were the higher management of the Immortal Mountain. There were many of them, but not all of them. For example, the leader of the Immortal Mountain was not here. Rumor had it that the leader of the mountain, Qi Wentian, did not appear often. He stayed in the palace for a long time. If there were any important matters, he would send his subordinates. Elder Nalan was the elder in charge of external affairs. She was in charge of external affairs, and had a lot of power. Hence, this place was temporarily under her control. There were also many elders on the stage in front of him. However, these people were the best disciples of the elders. After looking around a few times, Wang Zhong still could not find Ziru. Ziru disappeared? For some reason, Wang Zhong felt a chill down his spine. Could it be that there was something fishy about this? Alright everyone, please be quiet. I will now announce the results. Although Nalan was 80 years old, she was full of energy, and her voice was loud and clear. Her voice spread far and wide. Everyone naturally quieted down and started to listen. Elder Nalan shouted, "The results of this assessment are based on the talent of the spiritual roots, the time spent in the evil forest, and the number of evil creatures killed." After a discussion among the elders of the Immortal Mountain, the top 10 are as follows. Number 10 Xiangyang. Number 9 Huitai. Number 8. One by one the names were announced. Number 4 Guli. That's right. Guli's expression was excited as he continuously winked at Wang Zhong. Wang Zhong was also rather happy for Guli. This fellow's character was rather optimistic. Number 3 Yu Qian. Yu Qian was also a girl. Her talent was not bad. Although her spiritual roots were only at level 2, with her strength, she lasted for a long time. She was second only to Tang Qi. Number 2. Nalan paused for a while. Tang Qi. Tang Qi did not look happy. Instead he clenched his fists. Bastard, bastard, bastard. Number 1 should have been in his bag. He actually lost to someone else. Why did this happen? He was not convinced. This Zhao Xiaodong, how many evil creatures had he killed? How could he be stronger than him? If I had known, I would have entered the land of 100 ghosts too. Tang Qi now felt that that place might not be dangerous. Chapter 186. First place Zhao Xiaodong. Nalan announced the final first place and shouted, "Those who have been called, come to me to receive the prize." The disciples rubbed their palms and went up to collect their prize. Wang Zhong also collected his spiritual root elixir. When he received it, Nalan nodded in satisfaction. "You did well. Work hard in the future." "Thank you, Elder, for your advice." Wang Zhong was very respectful. If you have any questions in the future, you can ask me. Later, you will go to the Disciples' Hall. There, you will know the rules of the Immortal Mountain. Nalan reminded. Got it. Wang Zhong thought for a while. His original plan was to ask about Ziru after he was valued. But after thinking about it, he decided not to ask about it for the time being since he was new here and had yet to figure out the situation. Wait a minute. At this moment, Tang Chi walked up with a gloomy face. Tang Chi, is there anything else? Nalan asked. Elder, I am not convinced. Tang Chi did not hide anything. He pointed at Wang Zhong and said, my spiritual root talent is level 1, and he is only level 2. I have studied all kinds of cultivation techniques in my family since I was young. How can I be weaker than him? So, I dare to say that I think he might not have killed many evil beings in there. Maybe he was just hiding. Anyway, there are too many subjective factors. I want to duel with him to determine who is the first. To Tang Chi, the spiritual root elixir was too precious. He came from a high family. If he had the spiritual root elixir, he could imagine that his strength would increase by another level. So, how could he give it to Zhao Xiaodong? He would rather lose face and fight for it. Duel. Wang Zhong was amused. Tang Chi, are you mistaken? I am not mistaken. Zhao Xiaodong, I know you are not comfortable with it. But I have no choice. Even if I lose, I have to accept it wholeheartedly. Tang Chi. Nalan shook his head. You are mistaken. Tang Chi's gaze froze. Elder Zhao Xiaodong did not hide in there. He killed 126 evil beings. What? Tang Chi was stunned. He had painstakingly killed more than 80 of them. As for Zhao Xiaodong, he had killed more than 100, and that was in the 100 Ghosts training ground. One had to know that the evil beings there were even stronger. Now do you understand? Nalan asked. I understand. Tang Chi was in a daze. He understood that he had lost this time. But this loss could be said to be a heartfelt loss. Alright, don't be discouraged. If you cultivate here, everyone's strength will increase. It just depends on how hard you work. Nalan comforted him and said to Tang Chi and Wang Zhong. As the top students this time, follow me and meet the mountain master. Yes, the mountain lord of the immortal mountain, Qi Wentian, was said to be quite old. Unfortunately, no one knew how old he was. Of course, the elders here might know, but it was a pity that no one would ask this question. Otherwise, it would be seen as disrespectful. When Wang Zhong saw Qi Wentian for the first time, he realized that he was a white-haired old man. He had a sage-like demeanor and was very kind. He encouraged Tang Chi and Wang Zhong with a few words, and rewarded each of them with a few spiritual root pills. This is my reward for you. When you return to your residence, cultivate well. When the time comes, I will personally teach you martial arts. Qi Wentian said with a smile. Tang Chi was instantly excited. Personally teach. This meant that the famous Qi Wentian would personally be their teacher. What kind of glory was this? What kind of awesome was this? What kind of glory was this? Thank you, teacher. Tang Chi said respectfully. Wang Zhong also looked excited. Thank you, teacher. In the end, Wang Zhong still did not ask about Ziru. He was too weak. At first, he did not understand the gap between him and Qi Wentian. But after seeing Qi Wentian, he could feel the surging energy from his body. This Qi Wentian looked like an old man with one foot in the grave. But in actual fact, he was stronger than any young man. So he was worried. What if this immortal mountain was like those masters in Snow City, hiding some kind of conspiracy? If he asked about Ziru, wouldn't he be digging his own grave? He would slowly investigate. The two of you are now the personal disciples of the mountain master. Remember your own status. Don't embarrass him, understand? After coming out, Nalan said with a smile. Understood. Let's go. The immortal mountain was huge. The three of them walked for a while, and arrived at the disciples' hall. Here, the new disciples had already blended in, and were already having lessons with the old disciples. The number of disciples was not small. At a glance, there were more than 1,000 people. And this was only this place. Wang Zhong knew that there were several other training grounds on this immortal mountain. Because the disciples had just arrived, the lessons now were all about the immortal mountain's rules. In the immortal mountain, the mountain master Qi Wentian was the most powerful. He originally had 18 disciples under him. Including Wang Zhong and Tang Chi, he already had 20 disciples. Then there were the various elders. Among them, the great elder was the most senior, followed by the second elder and the third elder. Below them were the ordinary elders. These elders each had their own duties. For example, there was the discipline hall that specialized in disciplining disciples, the mess hall that prepared meals, the elixir hall, the weapon hall, the martial arts hall. Among them, every elder would accept some disciples. For example, in Wang Zhong's batch, although Wang Zhong and Tang Qi were accepted as disciples by Qi Wentian, the rest were accepted by other elders. Yu Qian, who was third, was chosen by Elder Nalen and accepted as a disciple. Guli was chosen by an elder called Sun Ming. At night, Wang Zhong returned to his room. As the personal disciple of the mountain master, his current residence would naturally not be bad. This was a standalone house on the peak of the Immortal Mountain. It had 2 floors. Not only was it comfortable, but the scenery outside was beautiful. Usually, no one would disturb him. This is the spiritual root elixir. After a busy day, Wang Zhong finally took out the spiritual root elixir excitedly. In addition to the small bottle of spiritual root elixir, there was also a box of elixirs. It was the spiritual root elixir. These things could only be produced in the Immortal Mountain. In the outside world, they were simply priceless. No one knew how much they were worth. After taking it, my strength will definitely increase by another level. Today, from the elders, Wang Zhong also understood their division of realms. The realms were divided into Power Realm, Qi Cultivation Realm, External Release of Qi Cultivation Realm, Qi Bone Realm, Qi Controlling Realm, and Qi Washing Realm. Cultivators who had just cultivated Qi could only increase their strength by a little, so it was called the Power Realm. After that, they would be able to use their Qi to defend against enemies, and it was called the Qi Cultivation Realm. Wang Zhong had a deep impression of these 2 realms when he was young. At the beginning, he had great strength. After that, he produced Qi and easily dealt with evil beings. After these 2 realms, it was the external release of Qi. It was also a watershed for cultivators. External release of Qi meant that one could kill people from a distance. It was very powerful. Power Realm, Qi Cultivation Realm, external release of Qi. Wang Zhong thought. After that, it was the Qi Bone Realm. When one reached the Qi Bone Realm, one's Qi would be as hard as bones. It would be able to destroy evil beings with a single punch. After the Qi Bone Realm, it was the Qi Controlling Realm. After that, it was the Qi Washing Realm. Wang Zhong estimated that he should be in the Qi Bone Realm, but at the peak of the Qi Bone Realm. The reason was simple. Based on his performance in the Land of 100 Ghosts, he was able to kill an evil being with a single punch, and the evil being was unable to do anything to him. Obviously, this was the sign of the Qi Bone Realm. As for Tang Qi, he should be in the middle of the Qi Bone Realm. I wonder what it will be like when I reach the Qi Controlling Realm and Qi Washing Realm. Wang Zhong guessed. At the same time, he was also curious about the strength of the Mountain Lord Qi Wentian. After these 6 realms, was there another realm? For example, becoming an immortal? There was no point in continuing to think about it. Without hesitation, he consumed the spiritual root elixir. Although he was wary of the Immortal Mountain, this elixir could not be faked. After all, not only the disciples, even the elders had consumed it before. How could it be faked? Chapter 187. Before this, Elder Nalen had already taught him how to use spiritual root elixir and spiritual root elixir in private. Wang Zhong remembered these methods in his heart and dared not be distracted, because he was very clear that after eating the elixir, he would definitely break through the current realm. If he could not break through, this spiritual root elixir would not be a precious item that only the first place could obtain. Understanding these principles, Wang Zhong began to breathe and meditate. To absorb these elixirs well, he must be calm. Even the simplest breathing rate had to be adjusted to the best state. This time, Wang Zhong breathed for a full 3 incense sticks worth of time. As the spiritual root elixir spread in his stomach, a gas began to gush out from his limbs. At the same time, He felt his brain swelling violently. He understood that this was the effect of the elixir. Sure enough, he was about to break through. This power was simply too much. The so-called spiritual root seemed to be rooted in the mind. With the help of the spiritual root elixir, it grew rapidly. The energy flowed in his body. When his whole body reached the peak state, Wang Zhong suddenly stood up and punched out. Roar! It was just a punch, but 3 tiger heads appeared. These 3 tiger heads seemed to have condensed into a substance. Compared to the previous tiger heads, they were not small in size. Moreover, they made a real tiger's roar. After unleashing this punch, the flow of energy within his body became even smoother. Wang Zhong felt as though he had an inexhaustible amount of energy. Not only that, this energy seemed to be able to flow with his thoughts. When he let it flow into his fist, the energy immediately flowed into his fist. When it flowed into his feet, the energy in his feet suddenly exploded. Is this the qi-controlling realm? Once I reach the qi-controlling realm, the energy can flow at will. At this time, Wang Zhong did not have time to be happy. He began to urge the energy, and the energy flowed into his legs. Let's see how strong my legs are now. Whoosh! He jumped out, pushed open the door and ran out of the house. It was pitch black outside, but it was okay. Under the moonlight, he could still see some small paths on the mountain. Run, run, run. Wang Zhong ran violently. There was too much energy in his body. This was the peak of his strength after his advancement. If he didn't use this strength, he probably wouldn't be able to sleep tonight. As he ran, Wang Zhong also took advantage of the night to familiarize himself with everything here. There were not many people living on the mountain, and they were all disciples. The lights in some of the houses were still on, and it was obvious that the owners were still working hard. The lights in some of the houses had already been extinguished. Judging from the looks of it, they were resting. After running for more than an hour, the energy in his body was finally exhausted. Then, Wang Zhong saw a big tree in front of him and rushed over. Bang, bang, bang. After climbing for a while, Wang Zhong climbed up steadily. After a short while, Wang Zhong opened his eyes and let out a long breath. Although he was very tired, this feeling made him feel very good. This was the feeling of power. Now he estimated that his qi was only at the initial stage of qi-controlling realm, and qi could only circulate in his body. If one reached the high level of qi-controlling realm, qi could flow out at will. It seemed that there was still a long way to go on the path of cultivation. Wang Zhong was about to get down the tree when his heart skipped a beat. Because not far away he heard shouting. Wang Zhong's heart skipped a beat, and he looked over with the help of the dim moonlight. At the edge of another mountain, in front of a house that was exactly the same as his, an agile figure was training against a wooden dummy. Wang Zhong recognized this figure at a glance. It was Tang Qi, the person who dissed him before. Tang Qi was practicing a set of palm techniques. His movements were nimble, and his fists landed on the wooden dummy, making deafening sounds. Although this guy is arrogant, he does have the right to be arrogant. Wang Zhong nodded to himself. Although he and Tang Qi didn't get along well last time, it wasn't enough to make him hate him. If he was in Tang Qi's shoes, he probably wouldn't be happy either. After all, there were only so many opportunities, and he had to fight for them. I wonder what Tang Qi's cultivation level is like. From today's lesson, Wang Zhong knew that one's cultivation level was very important to a cultivator. The reason why not many people in the Hui dynasty knew about cultivation levels was because the higher-ups made many people think that only masters could cultivate. Ordinary people couldn't cultivate. In addition, the Hui dynasty had a strict ban on martial arts, which led to the decline of martial arts. Evil beings were everywhere, and people were in a terrible situation. Everyone could only hide in the city. Compared to the Immortal Mountain, this place was much better. Because of the restriction of the evil being forest, although there weren't many people here, martial arts were very developed. There were many rogue cultivators among the ordinary people, so there weren't many evil beings outside the city. Even if there were, they were just ordinary evil beings. To a cultivator, the difference in cultivation level meant the difference in strength. Of course, there were also talented people who could challenge those of a higher cultivation level. This showed the importance of martial arts. Martial arts were actually cultivation techniques. Wang Zhong's tiger form fist, 8 trigrams palm, and shadowless sword technique were all martial arts. After watching for a while, Wang Zhong shook his head and didn't pay attention to Tang Qi anymore. Jumping down from the tree, Wang Zhong's figure disappeared into the night. When he returned home, Wang Zhong took out Little Blossom. In this place, Little Blossom had absorbed a lot of nutrients. She shook her head happily every day. "Master, there's so much qi here. If you like it, I'll plant you here." Wang Zhong planted Little Blossom in the yard. He wasn't worried that Little Blossom would run away. If she ran out, she would have to pass through the gate of the Immortal Mountain. With the eyes of the elders, it would be easy for them to see demons. However, it was different here. The elders wouldn't come over for no reason. "Stay here and cultivate. Don't run around without my orders. Otherwise, don't blame me if you get beaten to death for no reason," Wang Zhong reminded her. Okay. For the next 3 days, Wang Zhong kept a low profile. Together with Gu Li, he made many friends here. Because he was the first among the new disciples, many of the older disciples were willing to give him face and befriend him. This was the result that Wang Zhong wanted. He needed to slowly find Ziru's whereabouts. 7 days later, Wang Zhong felt that his qi had finally stabilized. Every morning, he could feel the abundant strength of his qi. Just like before, when he walked out of the gate, Gu Li was already waiting for him at the disciple hall. "Brother Xiaodong." Gu Li was holding a folding fan in his hand. This was his nickname. In his words, he liked to show off with a folding fan. Maybe some senior sisters would like him. "Gu Li?" Wang Zhong nodded slightly. Seeing that Gu Li was happy today, he asked, "What good thing happened? Why are you so happy?" It's 3 good things today. I have an appointment with a senior sister. We'll have lunch together later." Wang Zhong was surprised. Gu Li was able to get a date with a girl so quickly. "What are the other 2 good things?" "I leveled up." Gu Li winked. "I've finally reached the Qi Bone realm." "Congratulations." Wang Zhong was happy for his good friend. "There's another good thing about you." "Me?" Wang Zhong was surprised. "That senior sister of mine also brought a little sister. When the time comes, let's have a chat." "Good brother, I'll help you." Wang Zhong was speechless. Was he that kind of person? "Brother Zhao, let's not talk about this." "Don't talk about it. They're here." Following Gu Li's gaze, he saw 2 girls walking over together. Seeing them, Wang Zhong was slightly surprised. "It's her." Chapter 188. Wang Zhong recognized the woman. Her master was Elder Naylan. That was because this woman was standing behind Elder Naylan when they were receiving the prize that day. "Miss Duan." Gu Li waved from afar. Then he quietly nudged Wang Zhong and said, "Xiaodong, Duan Yaya is from my hometown. She's mine. Don't snatch her away." Wang Zhong was amused. The one next to her has a big background. She's Elder Naylan's eldest disciple, and also the eldest senior sister of Elder Naylan's faction, Huaying. No wonder she was standing behind Elder Naylan on the day of receiving the prize. "She's the eldest senior sister," Wang Zhong said. Then his heart skipped a beat. Those elders had high statuses. He didn't feel at ease asking about Ziru, but for the disciples below, they could ask about it. "Gu Li." Duan Yaya was short and flat, but her face was cute. In Gu Li's opinion, cuteness was justice. As for Huaying beside him, her expression was much more stable. She had a cold expression that kept people at a distance. "Yaya, didn't you say I'll accompany you to the energy testing room? Why are you meeting with a man?" Huaying said coldly, "Senior sister, that Gu Li is from my hometown. He's a few years younger than me. I went to school with him when we were young. Now that he's here, I have to say hello. Introduce him to this place?" "All right." Huaying sighed and looked at Gu Li. Suddenly she exclaimed, What's wrong, senior sister? This year's #1 newcomer, Zhao Xiaodong, is also here. Interesting. Senior sister is interested in him, hee. Duan Yaya laughed. "You little girl, you're laughing at your senior sister." Huang shook her head slightly. "This guy is #1 after all. I want to know how much power he can measure in the energy testing room. Then invite him over later. As the two talked, Wang Zhong and Gu Li walked over. Wang Zhong and Huang introduced themselves to each other. Unexpectedly, Duan Yaya excitedly patted Gu Li's shoulder. Not bad, not bad. The little brother from before has grown so big. Gu Li's face turned bitter. Senior apprentice sister, you're making fun of me again. Haha, let's go eat something first. Since no one had eaten breakfast, the four of them went to the cafeteria of the Immortal Mountain. Breakfast was usually simple, consisting of steamed buns, and porridge. On this point, he was the same as the ordinary people at the foot of the mountain. After chatting for a while, everyone became more familiar with each other. Wang Zhong thought for a while and asked a question that he had been wanting to ask for a long time. Senior sister Huang, have you heard of a girl called Ziru in our Immortal Mountain? Ziru? Huang raised her head. There are many disciples in the Immortal Mountain. I don't know all of them. That meant that he didn't know her. Wang Zhong was disappointed. Ziru had mysteriously disappeared from the Celestial Mountain. She did not even recognize Huang. There must be something fishy about this. Who is the disciple you are talking about? Duan Yaya asked. Someone from my hometown. In order to avoid suspicion, Wang Zhong did not tell the truth. He continued, she came here a year earlier than me. But she clearly came in, but there was no news of her. It's worrying. When I have time, I will help you keep an eye out for someone called Ziru. Huang said. Thank you. Let's go to the qi measuring room later. Duan Yaya suddenly suggested. Here. Wang Zhong knew that the qi measuring room was used to measure the strength of each person's internal qi. The results were very accurate. Thus, after eating, the four of them went to the qi measuring room and began to prepare. The qi measuring room was located in a cave. Inside there were rows of stones. After punching the stones with their internal qi, a white light would appear on the stones. The white light would gradually form a number. The first time he saw this, Wang Zhong was very surprised. He did not expect such a thing to happen in this world. This is so magical, Gu Li said. These were built by the elders using arrays. Duan Yaya explained. Arrays? Can we learn them here? Wang Zhong asked. Duan Yaya shook her head slightly. These are all small arrays left behind in the past. I heard from my master that the true inheritance of arrays has long been lost. Is that so? Wang Zhong did not feel that it was a pity. Anyway, if he were to learn it now, he probably would not know where to learn it. Let's test it. There are still people lining up behind. Huang said, waving her fist at the qi in front of her. Soon a number jumped. 1,632. This was not even Hui Ying's full strength attack. One could imagine that her strength was also quite strong. Next was Gu Li and Duan Yaya. Wang Zhong went to an inconspicuous corner alone and waved his fist at the qi measuring stone. Dong! The number jumped. 1540. Wang Zhong felt that this punch was not even half of its power, but it already had such strength. Wang Zhong was quite satisfied with this result. It's your first time here, but you've already achieved such results. Not bad, not bad. Huang walked over in surprise. In fact, if she knew that Wang Zhong had not used his full strength, she would be even more surprised. However, your strength is already over 1,500. You can definitely enter the Ghostly Sword Mountain. Ghost Sword Mountain? Can you tell me more about this Ghost Sword Mountain? Wang Zhong asked. The Ghost Sword Mountain is a training ground. There are many evil beings inside, and they are all sword spirit-esque. Therefore, the evil beings are extremely ferocious. Those with less than 1,500 strength qi are not allowed to enter. Huang said. I heard that Tang Qi, who is in the same group as you, entered the Ghost Sword Mountain 3 days ago. Duan Yaya and Gu Li walked over and said. Sai, it's a pity that my strength is too weak. Otherwise I would also go in and take a look, said Gu Li. Then I'll go and take a look, Wang Zhong said. The most important thing for him now was to increase his strength. Then, they arrived at the Ghost Sword Mountain. Because one needed a certain level of strength to come to this place, there were very few people here. The disciple in charge of guarding the Ghost's Word Mountain saw Hua Ying and greeted her respectfully. Senior sister. How many people went in today? Asked Hua Ying. Not many. 5 people have already gone in. Are you guys going in? Junior brother Zhao Xiaodong and I will be going in. Then wait a moment for the disciples inside to come out. Okay. They waited on the side. Hua Ying explained. The Ghost Sword Mountain is full of traps. Although I'm going in with you, we won't be in the same place. If you can't hold on, crush the protective talisman and come out. Understand? Although this place was a training ground, it was also dangerous. Therefore, one had to bring a protective talisman to enter. Soon the disciples inside came out. Finally it was Wang Zhong's turn. During this time, Hua Ying gave a detailed explanation of the situation inside. Wang Zhong also understood. In general, this place was similar to the evil creature forest. The deeper one went, the more difficult it was. It was divided into 10 levels. The most difficult level was the 10th. The ghosts inside were extremely strong and carried giant swords. Very few people could defeat them. My limit is the 7th level. When you reach the 6th level, don't go in too deep to avoid trouble, Hua Ying reminded him. Hua Ying reminded him worriedly. Although we have protective talismans, there are still risks. Do you understand? Thank you, senior sister. Soon, Wang Zhong and Hua Ying stepped into the mountain. It was also a house. When they came to the backyard, they saw swords stabbed into the ground. I'm going in. Hua Ying walked forward. Wang Zhong followed. Sword techniques could be used here. Wang Zhong pulled out his sword. Suddenly, a strong man with a saber slashed at him. Those who offend our country will be killed no matter how far away they are. Chapter 189. Wang Zhong narrowed his eyes. Although the muscular man had a loud voice, he could tell that it was an evil being. The fact that the evil being could speak meant that it was not weak. Die! Wang Zhong gathered his energy and slashed at the evil being. The evil being dissipated instantly. However, Lin Fan could sense that the evil beings were still hidden in the air and would gather again in the blink of an eye. Looks like there is a formation here as well. Wang Zhong pondered. The man who looked like a general called himself Ming Nation. Could he be from the Ming Nation that had been in chaos recently? If that was the case, why would the evil being be here? With his current status, Wang Zhong was not allowed to know these secrets. Therefore, he did not think too much about it and continued to explore. Suddenly, he realized that swords had appeared in front of him. Most of the swords were broken. They were all randomly stabbed into the ground. There were also rows of numbers on the ground. The number 1 meant that the evil beings here were the weakest in level 1 Ghost Sword Mountain. The higher the number, the stronger the evil being. Dang dang dang. Wang Zhong continued to move forward. The resistance he encountered was getting stronger and stronger. Ha! Wang Zhong raised his sword to meet the incoming evil creatures. Sword Qi, which contained an unparalleled amount of energy, smashed into the evil creatures' bodies like a heavy hammer. This was an unparalleled battle. Wang Zhong felt that fighting here was more effective than fighting outside. While fighting, he started to adjust the flow of energy in his body. He wanted to maximize his strength. Now that they had reached level 5, the evil creatures began to wear armor on their bodies and knew how to attack together. I am the general of Ming Nation, Meng Hui. Soldiers kill. One by one the soldiers raised their spears. Wang Zhong gave a light shout and charged forward. Bang bang bang, countless evil beings exploded. At this time, Wang Zhong felt that he had used up a lot of energy. He had used up almost half of his energy. However, Wang Zhong was not discouraged. Instead, he felt even better. Keep going, keep going. Wang Zhong continued to walk forward. Soon he arrived at level 6. Time passed day by day. From this day onwards, Wang Zhong would come here to practice every day. While dealing with the evil creatures, he was also practicing how to skillfully use his strength. In the Qi-controlling realm, the most important thing was to use strength. Spring went and winter came. In the blink of an eye, another year had passed. On this day, Wang Zhong came to Ghost Sword Mountain again. Junior brother Zhao Xiaodong, you're here again. The disciple guarding this place cupped his hands in greeting. Although he addressed Wang Zhong as junior brother, he also understood that Wang Zhong's current strength was much stronger than theirs. In the past year, they had seen Wang Zhong's improvement. "Senior brother Zhozha, please open the door," Wang Zhong said. "All right." Wang Zhong entered the ghostly sword mountain again. This time he wanted to reach level 10. That's right, in the past year, he had already entered the 10th level. However, he didn't tell anyone about this. Even when Guli asked, Wang Zhong simply said that he was at level 8. Kill. Kill. The rank 5 evil beings in front of him were simply too easy to deal with. Wang Zhong easily charged through them. After dealing with the 6th level evil creatures, he finally reached level 7. "We meet again, old friend." Wang Zhong smiled at the general rushing toward him. Frenzied blade art. Whoosh! He swung the bronze sword. And the evil creatures that used to be difficult to deal with were easily destroyed this time. Then level 8, level 9. If other people saw Wang Zhong's improvement, they would be so shocked that their jaws would drop. However, Wang Zhong knew his advantages. He had been practicing martial arts since he was young. His spiritual root was outstanding, and there were so many martial arts techniques in his head. Who could compare with him? Roar! Finally, he arrived at level 10. There was only one evil creature here, the sky-destroying general. No one knew his name. They only knew that the sky-destroying general had a huge body and a huge sword in his hand. He could easily kill anyone. 3 months ago, Wang Zhong only came here once. When he saw the sky-destroying general for the first time, Wang Zhong was touched. He was too big, like a war god. His body was covered in black fog, but his eyes were glowing red. "You're here again." A deep and resounding voice rang out, giving Wang Zhong an illusion. The sky-destroying general in front of him didn't seem to be an evil creature, but a real person. "Senior, I'm here for strength," Wang Zhong shouted. "Well, then you can go to hell." The giant raised his long sword again. Wang Zhong took a deep breath. If the huge sword in front of him was real, he definitely wouldn't be able to take it. However, this was an evil creature, and his strength could restrain it. Immediately, he injected his strength into the sword. Wang Zhong suddenly raised his head. The strength turned into a huge long sword, and he slashed at the huge sword. This sword, from bottom to top, collided with the two swords and made a turbulent sound. A black mist suddenly gushed out and scattered in all directions. The sky-destroying general's body trembled violently, and he took a step back. Wang Zhong didn't dodge, but faced it head-on again. Frenzied blade technique. Wang Zhong slashed out, but at this time, the bronze sword in his hand suddenly exploded with a kacha. Wang Zhong had been using this bronze sword in the battles these days, and it was already very strenuous. After using the frenzied blade technique, the bronze sword couldn't hold on any longer, and the sword body exploded. As the sword broke, the power of the frenzied blade technique decreased. But even so, it still sent the huge sword in the sky-destroying general's hand flying. The arrogant sky-destroying general was suddenly unarmed. Enough! Wang Zhong's chest felt stuffy. The all-out attack just now had stimulated all his strength. At this moment, he was like a lamp that had run out of oil. So now he was very satisfied. "Very good, I finally finished you." Wang Zhong smiled coldly. "You are very strong. You are the second person who defeated me this year." The sky-destroying general roared. "You are even stronger than that person." "That person?" Wang Zhong frowned. He had been here for more than a year, and he already knew many disciples. According to his understanding, no one had defeated the sky-destroying general. Then who could it be? Or did the person who defeated the sky-destroying general hide his achievements and fame? This didn't fit the disciples' character. Everyone knew that those who successfully passed the 10th level would be rewarded generously by the Hill Master. "You can go." The sky-destroying general roared coldly. "Excuse me, who is the person who defeated you?" Wang Zhong asked. "Why are you asking this? It's just strange because I haven't heard of anyone who defeated you outside, so I feel like you are lying to me." "Ha ha ha." Suddenly the black fog in the air surged. "Lying to you? I don't have to lie to you. That person is called Ziru. She defeated me and gained a lot of benefits from me. Her current strength has probably surpassed yours. 0. That you're tuning in to the Earbook Haven YouTube channel. Don't forget to subscribe and join us on this journey to catch the most captivating stories.